All right, looks like it's 5 o'clock. We're gonna get this thing on the road. We get the, you sit down. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. This is usually the part of the meeting where we're talking about anybody that has something that we don't have on the agenda and wants to talk about it. You can discuss it, but we cannot act on it or anything like that. So I guess I'm going to ask anybody got anything that's not on the agenda. All right, we're going to move right along. Looks like the Board of Finance meeting, treasurer report. Come on up.
I've got reports for you guys.
Thank you, ma'am.
John, will you give this one to Tammy?
No.
No. Okay, so you just want me to read what I got on here?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
It's easier.
All right, so the total interest earned in all banks for 2021 was $18,095.66. We are still using American Financial Credit Services to collect the delinquent personal property taxes. So they mail out the letters attempting to collect those for the past 5 years. Their contract can be void at any time. And the amount collected this year was $48,760.92. So that's been the most collected out of any year since we started going with them. So the grand total is $225,889.10. And Cheryl hired them like in, I think, August of 2014. So that's quite a bit of money. So West Banco, New Washington State Bank, and Stockyards Bank are collection sites during the spring and fall tax collection. That's working pretty well. I mean, every once in a while we'll have like little hiccups, but it's nothing major and we can always fix them. So we still plan on going with that. The statements for this year will be going out like the first week or second week of April. So, and then the back sheet is all the banks that we currently have. So the total in all those banks is $19,579,919.28. So it's pretty good.
Yeah. Let's just say this, the Old National Bank. What's?
So that's the Excise Bank. So like our excise payments go in there.
Okay.
So, and we get them like 2 or 3 times a week. So.
Okay.
And I wouldn't want the public to think we just got 19 million laying around. That's money
Yeah.
coming and going.
Coming and going
regularly,
all the time,
regularly,
yeah. It's payroll in there and
19
other
billion, let's
disbursement,
go.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
And I'll add too, the AFCS is for personal property tax collections.
Yeah.
The real property goes through the actual tax sale process.
Yes.
But this is for mobile homes.
Mobile homes,
Business, personal
things you
property.
conduct with business, yeah. So,
And just a little side note too, I think over time we'll probably see that the billing's gonna go down. Because
Mhm.
personal property is getting exempted more and more by the
Yeah.
state. So eventually, this might not be as big a factor as it is right now.
yeah,
So eventually, we probably won't be billing business personal property at all.
yeah.
Could you tell me, as a guy who doesn't know this like you do, what's the difference between a main account, a sweep account? I mean, can you explain those accounts to me?
So Bank One is the account like we pay all the claims and everything out of.
Wait a minute, you mean Banco?
West Banco, yes.
Yeah.
Bank
okay.
One, yeah. Yeah, I got those numbers beside me because that's how I know my banks by. But yeah, we pay the claims and everything out of there. It always keeps an active balance of $250,000. The sweep account, like when the West Banco, Bank One starts getting low, it sweeps the money back over. So there's always money in there.
Okay.
And then the sweep account, I also always transfer money every 2 weeks for payroll.
Okay.
So the sweep account is there to keep those fulfilled.
So it sounds like it's all set up to where the proper amount of money is in the proper place it ought to be for
Yeah.
funds, so your bills can be paid.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank
And Bank 4 does all payroll, so that's the only thing in there.
Okay.
So you were During the audit this year, I mean, did they see anything that you need to be doing something different, or everything seemed to be all right?
Yeah,
or-
everything seemed to be okay. Yeah.
Okay, so anything that they were asked us to change or whatever, we've probably done that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
That is.
That's it.
But you said it's an improvement over last year, huh?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Fantastic. Mine we didn't have, so,
Yeah.
Thank you very
All
much.
right. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
thank you, Mister.
See ya.
All right, next on the agenda is the reorganization of the Board of Commissioners for 2022.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
The Board of Finance reorganized do you guys just wanna make a motion to keep it the same as last year, and then I'll just iterate that in the minutes? Cause I think you have to appoint members, officers for the Board of Finance, cause the treasurer is the treasurer, and one of you guys usually gets appointed as the president and vice president and secretary on the board. It's at the very end,
You're talking about
2022
board
board
treasurer.
reorganization for Board of Finance.
Yeah.
The very top line on the agenda.
I see that, but I'm
Yeah.
looking on this
That,
here.
it's not your board appointment, it's the Board of Finance.
Okay.
Yeah,
Who's on that board right now?
you guys. And Missy.
Oh.
Yeah, so you just
I
reorganize
guess
it if
that's-
you want to,
I
yeah.
guess, if
And
that's
you
what-
guys decide who's gonna be the
I'll
president of the Board
nominate
of
Mike Jones
Finance.
to be president of the Board of Finance.
All right, well, John makes a nomination of myself to be the board president of the, I guess, the treasurer,
Board of Finance.
Board of Finance. Randy seconds that, I guess I'll make that unanimous, so. All right, moving along. Reorganization of the Board of Commissioners of 2022. The time that we reorganize ourselves as who's the president, who's the vice president, and what's those, so. Anybody got any discussion, or?
I just, I think the length the same.
Do what?
I'd like to make a motion to leave the same.
That's fine with me, yeah. I'll make a motion to leave Mike in as president.
All right, well, I guess, Randy and John both make a motion at the same time, so.
I'll second it.
I'll second. John will second that, and I guess I'll make that unanimous. The board stays as it is me being the president, John being the vice president, and Randy being the member, so. All right, moving right along. Is this the LAR or the LARE?
Lair.
Grant application request on behalf of the Drainage Board,
Lake
so.
and River Management.
And here comes Melissa.
And my friend Aporva.
Is this your new,
This is our new colleague.
okay, nice to meet
Very
you.
nice to meet you. She's wonderful. So.
So far, I agree.
Yes. Aporva has been taking the lead on this project, but I've just been kind of overseeing it. So, we're here tonight. Of course, you received $40,000 last year through this program. This year, we've been working with Everett Hunley. There are 7 log jams he has noted, at an estimate of $20,000 per log jam to get rid of those. So it's a total project cost of $140,000. It's a 80-20 grant, so 80% is grant. The other 20% is local match, which makes the 80%, it's a $112,000 grant request. And that would make your local match $28,000. That's either in kind or cash. What we have done, though, is Everett and Aporva and I met with the Jackson County Soil and Water Conservation District earlier this week, and they have agreed. We don't have it in writing here, but Everett was at the meeting, and we were to pay half of that local match, to commit half of that at $14,000. What they also agreed to do, and we don't have for you here tonight, but our contract to prepare and administer the grant, which that'll be $1,500 when we come to you with that, and they've agreed to pay half of that contract when they bring that to you. Trying to think, am I missing anything of Corva? It's due January 15th, but our goal is to submit it by January 12th.
And you have an idea when you'll submit it, how long does it take to
I
get the
really, I would say a 30 or 60-day turnaround. I think that's what we saw last year. I think our contract came in March last year, so.
I know
We've got
last-
this grant before.
You have, last year you got it,
I
yeah.
know last year they felt pretty confident we'd get more.
We have been in close contact with Doug at DNR, who's over this program, and he knows it's a work in progress, and we feel pretty confident. I mean, you never want to say,
Memory
I
took-
think you'll get something. I don't know if you'll get a full request.
I
but-
know they said they even had the support of the governor when they get money done. So
Yeah.
that sounds good.
And there were no issues with the Soil and Water Conservation District. Nobody had an issue on that board to help, so.
You being on the board, did they, am I correct in thinking that they didn't spend the 40,000 last year? And some of it you were gonna try to roll over?
Yeah, as I understand it, we've submitted, how much in invoices have we
20,000.
submitted? About 20?
Yeah.
19?
Yeah.
Yeah, around 19,000, okay.
So that'll roll over, we'll be able to use it?
That's the way we
Because the
understand it.
grant lasts longer than the
Calendar
calendar year of
Yeah,
2021.
yeah.
So, yeah,
Is that
it's
what
got
you're
a,
thinking too?
I can't remember if it's a year term or whatever on
I
it, but
can't remember either, but Doug has been very open with Everett, I know, and then us. He encouraged us to submit some invoices for this past year's award, but didn't act like that would deter your chances at getting another award this year, so, for not spending out yet, so.
So with this grant, are we able to, on some of this, do the work ourselves, or is this something we're contracting out?
I think you contracted
yeah.
most of it out. I can't remember the name of the,
KLB
okay, yeah.
has been retained by the drainage board to.
Kevin Brown?
Yes, to do the work.
Yeah, if we do some of that work ourselves, that also goes toward our part of the
So
grant.
in kind, aren't there some equipment costs or hourly, yeah, it's in kind or cash,
Yeah.
Because on occasion, a highway, a piece of highway equipment sometimes is used, you know, if they can't, if
Right.
they need something. So I don't know if that can be something we kind of watch track in that way.
We'll
If we have
definitely
in-kind-
need to track it, whomever is doing that work, hours spent, the equipment used, and the manpower to do
So
it.
if they have to move, like the highway has to move equipment there
Mhm.
and set up and do some stuff, then we can use that to kind of be in-kind match.
That's the,
Okay.
that's what I understand, yeah.
Okay.
Is it half of the, you can't go more than half, is,
Yes, not more than half can be cash.
so not, of your portion, it would be not more than $7,000 could be in kind, because you're committing, well, hopefully, you'll commit 14,000 as your part of the local match, so.
And,
Okay.
and just, this is a question from the drainage board side from us, would our soil and waters, the Scott County Soil and Water Conservation District have an interest in this or helping us with the match
I
money?
think that would be an Everett
Great question,
question.
okay, alright,
Mm-hmm.
just from a.
I'm not sure how that decision was arrived at to include the soil and water from up there, but I think it's definitely something you could explore in the future. At this point, I mean,
We need
it
just to,
with the due date and such, but
just get the county, find the funds,
Mhm.
and then put it on the county side.
So that in kind, could that be anything, I mean, or does it have to be something like, if we hauled off the debris or whatever, or does
we'd
it
have
have
to
to
check
be
into
something
those
that is
specific, do you know?
specific to, having an excavator in the water, or what? I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either. I know equipment has been mentioned, that's all I know equipment for sure. Above and beyond that, we'd have to look into the details or ask Doug with DNR about that, and we could do that,
okay,
yeah.
all right.
So we have the application, the grant application the county has, we're coming to you tonight. Porva will be approaching the council next Tuesday with the same request. But what we have tonight is this grant request with the local match commitment I just told you about. And then we have the application, if you're willing to sign without going to the council first. I mean, we won't submit it without
Well,
their approval.
Well, the thing about it is, it's
Yeah.
null and void if they don't approve it
Right.
anyway, so,
Yeah.
we can approve it here and send it to them. If they don't do it,
Then we won't
Yeah,
submit it.
won't go nowhere, yeah.
Yeah.
so. I'll entertain a motion to do this.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that motion.
Brandy makes a motion to accept the contract with River Hills for submitting a grant for the drainage
or you said there's 7 log jams, didn't you?
Yes.
So, and that's, like I said, that's a work in progress. It's been going on for a few years anyway, so. Randy made a motion, John seconded that, and I'll make that unanimous, so guess that gives me the authority to sign your paperwork.
Basically, submitting the grant application contingent upon the council's approval
Yeah.
as well. Okay, yeah, so
Yeah.
here are 2 documents. There's this one, which is the actual grant application.
Here, I got it.
Yeah, okay, and then that one. And then I don't know if that was part of your motion or not. I don't have our contract with us tonight, nor have I had Zach look at it. It's gonna be the same contract we presented last year. Nothing has changed. But, I don't know if you wanna make another motion, but I would just like to see if you would approve it contingent upon Zach's review. And
Is that
way
your
you can
contract?
sign outside of the meeting, yeah. The total is 1,500. Your portion would be 750, because of the soil and water in Jackson County paying half.
I'll entertain a motion to accept that.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Randy makes that motion, John seconds the motion, and I'll make that unanimous. So you're gonna present or some paperwork later on for that?
Yeah, what I'll do, if you're good with making that motion to sign outside a meeting contingent upon his review, then yeah, we'll just, I don't know how soon it'll be, probably in the next couple of weeks, and we'll try to chase you down for a signature.
Good luck with that.
Do y'all have any questions for us? No? Okay.
No.
All right, thank you.
Start a new year.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. There he is. Liability insurance and workman's comp coverage recap, ISU. How you doing?
Hello, wonderful. How are you gentlemen?
Great.
All right. I have a kind of a short summary here to make it a little easier to muddle through all the information here. There we go. Here's one for Tammy.
Thank you, sir.
Here's the next one. I don't know exactly which one or not. So,
Yeah, you stole that in this pile.
okay. All right, so there's various policies we have in place for all your coverage. The main package covers the bulk of it. It's through Liberty Mutual, and that's the first page on there. Has a little more detail of all the specific limits to each line. Those have all been, as far as the moving parts when it comes to properties, vehicles, and equipment, that's all been validated and run through the departments with the auditor and make sure that it's up to date. So we do have lists of those that at the department that can be referenced if you want those. I also have copies of the office if you want to request those to look through.
So you're talking about on the vehicles?
That'd be, well, yes, I mean, we update each of those. Some of these limits stay the same, is what I was getting at, and then you have the moving pieces where it be building coverage, vehicles. So on the vehicles, since you brought that up, last year, there was about 105 units. This year, I think it's 108 units.
Is there a threshold that, I think before, I think we had to end up paying like $5,000 extra at the end of the year because we were over our, like a blanket policy type thing. So is 100 the unit number that it was quoted, and anything above that we're being charged extra for?
Well, so what we do is, this is what's called a fleet policy.
Yeah.
And so we try to get it, well, what we do is, and this is always a working kind of a work plan in motion here. So, but we got it updated currently to what we think is the current list of vehicles you have. So we'll be starting, so we start January 1 with that list. And that's what we have set now, and they have the list of that. And so, and this is what would have been the same way for last year. And so then we go through the year. Any changes that are done throughout the year are just automatically covered. And then we audit it at the end of the year, same process. And then whatever that difference is, that's what the vehicle count does. And so if it ends up being less vehicles, then we start out with less. So in other words, throughout the year, if you add vehicles, there's no additional premium cost until the next year. And so it just simplifies the ins and outs, because a lot of vehicles ins and outs. Excuse me?
It's a year contract.
It's, well, basically for the autos, yes. Property would not be that case, but for the autos it is.
So do we know that, I know a year or so ago, I guess it was found that we were insuring vehicles that, we were insuring cars that shouldn't have been insured because they weren't worth the insurance we were
Yeah, it was
insuring,
the
because we had full
coverage.
coverage on them,
So-
so.
Full to-
And
Yeah,
after that
yeah.
meet, because after that meeting, we did make some additional changes.
Okay.
Nothing major,
That
but
was
some
done,
some
yes,
minor.
because we
Yes.
went back through that list
Yes.
according to what you guys provided.
Right.
And then we had made those adjustments.
Yeah, they allowed us to go ahead and make another adjustment.
Okay.
So we.
Well, I just want,
after that
I don't
meeting-
wanna be insuring something that's not worth, well, just, for instance, we were insuring trailers that were $3,000. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Well,
can
agree.
go buy another one, I mean,
Yeah,
so, but anyway, go ahead, I'm sorry.
no. So that's how the auto policy works on that. And so on that front page, that's the Liberty Mutual package that does include your property, your liability, your business auto, and your umbrella coverage. That picks up all your liabilities, whether it be the public officials liability, your general liability, which is your slip and fall, your legal liability from the police force or sheriff's department, and so forth. So the package on that is $305,910. That's a $22,000 increase from last year. That increase is partially due to changes in your property values and vehicles. And that's probably it's about a 9% increase, 2% of that being changes you've made, and then about 7% is actual rate increase from the carrier. To compare, so this is our second year with Liberty Mutual. Previously, we've been with Travelers for a few years, and we went ahead and internally ran quotes and shopped out on our own to see if we could find a better deal. And Liberty was a much better deal than Travelers. If you remember, we switched. So for reference point, Travelers had renewed at $346,000 that year. So that's what it would have been. So although we are taking an increase, it's still significantly less than where we're coming from. The second page is the EMS school coverage. There is separate liability needed for that school, and that includes the educator's legal liability, so the professor, the teacher of that program, and then also the professional liability of the students. So when they're out doing their clinicals, and so they have that coverage that goes along with that. And so that's the coverage for that. And the educator's legal liability went down $200, and no change on the professional liability. The cyber coverage, that is something that has taken an increase, and that is industry-wide. In fact, it's getting more difficult to get coverage in cyber just because of all the activity. I mean, you're probably seeing it, hearing it. It's in the news all the time.
Are we talking about like when they try to scam you and all that kind of stuff?
Oh, yes.
When you say cyber, that.
Yes, yeah, cyber's getting pretty broad.
Yeah.
Even something as simple, if it's a
Ransom.
ransom, manipulation of fooling them into transferring money to, what should be a vendor and is somebody stealing money. So, I mean, you get into all that list of all the variations. There's so many different types of coverage. But yes, and then also, if somebody sues you because they got a virus from you, so there's a liability component to it also.
Who's covered for ransom?
Yes.
Would it also cover if for some reason, our treasurer got hacked and everybody got their personal information stolen or something, that they were suing us or whatever, that'd
Yeah.
cover that?
Yes.
Okay. So it's a liability type thing?
Yes, yes. And so that one, from a percentage standpoint, was the biggest from a percentage standpoint. It was a $7,000 increase, but it went from $12,400 to $443 to $19,755. That's a $7,332 increase. As I said, it is industry-wide. This is through Travelers. Travelers is a great company for cyber. There are a couple others though that I also trust. Next year we might be looking at shopping that out to see what's going on, because like I said, the industry as a whole is taking, increases and being a lot more tight on their underwriting. Anytime you have a question, please ask. I'm just going to keep moving here. And then last is the workers' comp. So workers' comp, from a rate standpoint, is the same as last year. The premium's higher just because you have higher payroll. So work comp is directly tied to payroll. So your payroll goes up, the premium goes up. Payroll goes down, premium goes down. And that's audited each year. And so these payrolls are based off the most recent audit that was performed. So the last year's was $220,359, and this is $243,142, a $22,783 increase. But as I said, that's tied to payroll. So the more important part is if you look at that left box and it says experience modification. This is where what really drives the rate and where things can change. So your experience modification is 1.67. That's a high mod, experience mod. That means basically you have a 67% surcharge on your work comp policy, and that's based off of claims. The experience mod is generated by the state, and then all insurance companies follow that and apply that modification factor to the policies. So it's not company specific, it is generated, that's through the state work comp board who creates that modification factor. So the good news is that we are now trending to better. So it's looking back at a 5-year history of your claims. And so I've got those listed out there, and you can see our current year to date is 65% loss ratio. So for every dollar that you paid in premium, they're paying out 65%. Now, some of that is due to reserves, which is what they estimate a claim might be. So that's the part that it's not all paid out at this moment, but is what they expect or want to plan for. If you look back at 2020, we were at 35%. That's a great loss ratio. 2019 is 42, still good. Then you got 2018 at 99% and 2017 at 86%. Those are pretty high. So the good news is those are going to start falling off. So
the too high numbers are gonna fall off.
yeah, well, next year the 86% will fall off.
Okay.
So that'll be gone. And just to kind of give you an idea how the reserves work, sometimes those reserves might be a little bit high because they just don't know. And then once the claim settles, then whatever they paid out, they remove the reserve, and that impacts what your loss ratio is. So this time last year, your loss ratio was 55%. As you can see here, we ended up with 35%. So there's still good hope for this year that as long as these claims close out and don't have big payouts, and hopefully they close. Sometimes they stay open for a few years, and so they just stick with you. But as long as there's no new activity, then it doesn't impact that next year. So that could come down is what I'm getting at. So I think we have a good shot of next year having a much better modification factor, and which would significantly lower that premium. I mean, if you look at just what 10% could do, if you look at what 60% is causing. And not only that, with a good claims year or good claims history, you can be below. So there's discounting. So there's 20%, 25% potential below. You could be at a 0.75. So you literally you could cut this in half with a great claims history. And I've seen it done before. I've worked with another municipality that was at a 1.87 or 1.78, sorry. And then after a few years, they were below 1. So it can happen, and as long as things stays on track. So the key is safety, safety, safety. The IPEP has sent out some risk control gentlemen, has done meetings. There's a reason for it, and this is the reason.
Maybe we could have them come in here sometime and we go over some of the safety factors we could improve on.
Yeah, so he does send a report each time that kind of summarizes what his meeting was, and so we could even get, if you're interested in seeing those.
Yeah, absolutely.
okay, we can kind of pull back the past
So
history.
you're
of
trying to
those.
figure out what department, I mean, normally it'd be probably sheriff's department, EMS, and
Those
highway
are-
department would probably be your
Emergency
big
service.
three, yeah.
It's, yeah, and they're subjected to that. I mean, that's the nature of the beast. But yeah, it is. It's the sheriff's
Physical
department and
labor.
EMS, yeah. And so that, it's just, it's the key to try to stick to those protocols, because it only takes that one time to cause it, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You can do it 100 times right,
Well,
and then that one time is what causes the problem.
Do you have a list of claims from?
Yes, we can
last
get that,
year?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I could even do better than that. I mean, I can get you because 1 year is really hard to judge. It's good to look at the history because, it's, you know, you don't have those huge claims every year, but if you look back, you can see a pattern. So then that's what you want to
You
look
got
at.
a
I can get that for
question
you. Okay.
Dan?
I was just gonna say that our IPEP guy was at EMS today.
Oh, was he?
Yes.
okay,
And,
He usually tells
he was
me.
at EMS today, and he's going to send us some materials so we can train.
Good.
Awesome.
Good.
All right. He usually calls me. All right, so. All right. And then the last policy there at the bottom, that's the accident policy for the reserve officers. Since they're, the medical covers them on the work comp policy, but there's no indemnity, basically, you know, nothing from a payroll standpoint because they don't receive a payroll. So this by no means covers what they may be getting at their real job, but it does provide something. And there's some other death benefits and different type of just cash payouts for different types of injuries built into this policy also. So, it's a great policy to have, but also at the same time, it became required in 2018 to have it.
Yeah, they should have.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
people are, you know, sacrificing their own
Yeah.
personal time and life
Yeah.
just as a volunteer.
okay.
Any questions?
When you get me that, would you mind, I'm sorry, the last 5 years, is that possible?
Yeah, yes. In fact, I think it even, I wouldn't be surprised, I'm thinking about that list, I think it might even go back to 99, but, which is kind of really useless at this point. But the 5 years absolutely is what you want to
Yeah, I
see.
mean, I'd
We don't
just
wanna
like
go
to
all
see
the way
it.
back to 99.
Yeah. Well, it's,
We've seen that picture.
yeah.
I think you were involved some of I was pointing behind you.
Oh, okay.
All right,
All right,
appreciate it.
appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Reggie.
Thank you.
Kevin. How's Kevin?
Doing good.
Hey, can you give me some information on that brine, what it costs and the equipment and stuff? I was talking to a commissioner over at Washington County today, and I was telling him we were briming the roads, and he about fell out of his chair. He said, they can do it as cheap as what you're talking about. He said, I'd like to do it too, so we're gonna look at it anyway, so.
Yeah, I got all the information in the shop, so I'll send it over.
Okay.
On that subject, and this might not be any cheaper whatsoever, but I don't know. But is there any way you could get a check out price on beef juice?
Yeah, so, you mean cheaper, like, so the way beet juice works is, that's something you would add to your brine, and it drives it for cold temperatures, plus you can use it in conjunction with pre-wet salt, which will also in return help, burn off ice with less material.
So
It's more,
it wouldn't save anything yet at all.
it's not necessarily gonna save any, well, I say it's not gonna save anything. If you use it in conjunction with rock salt, then absolutely, because it activates it, sticks it to the road, you use less rock salt. As far as just going through and spraying it like we're doing right now, not necessarily.
Okay, I'm not worried about it.
But one thing that, we are going to try, depending on what this storm does, is mixing our cinders with a little rock salt and then using the beet juice to cut the salt usage down. And we're just going to play with that, see what kind of numbers we can kind of come back with. I'm not familiar with the cinders, we're gonna try it. I think we got some ideas. I think it'll work. That's gonna cut it way down. We're gonna use it in conjunction with the brine. But, yeah, beet juice is a good material. It's very high compared to, but it's only 10%. So if you got 90% brine, you just cut it 10% beet juice is the way it works. So it's a good material in that certain application.
So how did it work out with the, the brine?
It worked pretty good. It was just like anything else.
Learning
When you start,
experience?
it's kind of one of them deals that can break. It will break. It did break. So first time was a little rough, but we got the machine set up now. Johnny and Kevin trained on it, so I got 2 guys. They got it down to pat now.
Well, I saw some of it on the road working pretty good.
Yeah, so we got some things to work on, some improvements to do on it, but getting started is the hard part about anything. So that's
Okay.
kind of where we're at with that.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the bull by the horns.
Thank you. Thank you. This is the uniform contract that you signed last time. We changed a couple things. They changed like $2.50 a week.
Oh, my God.
So they had to make me sign a good name for that. So it's the same thing, just added that money to it.
Randy makes a motion to allow me to sign a new contract with UniFirst, because he said it changed it by a couple of dollars, so.
I second.
John seconds that motion. I'll make it unanimous to go ahead and sign this, so.
I shouldn't have called that in, should I? So,
That one track mine. I don't know what else you need there.
I think that was it. Just signed it. Yeah, sure did. Next thing, the ordinance. I kind of dropped the ball and forgot to send it to you. Can we do that now?
Well, we can, we got some things to discuss because we don't have a lot of things filled in on this.
Okay.
If we want to talk to them about your ideas about how you want to use the auction proceeds fund, then we can bring it back at the next meeting and have them approve this is kind of draft.
Okay.
Yeah, so if we want to look at it, our ordinance number we'll go ahead and use is 2022-002. As you can see,
What is it now?
22-002 is gonna be our ordinance number. This is gonna establish a fund for anything that's received from the auction proceeds for use at the highway department.
Same thing we did at the sheriff's office.
Yes, we've done this on several different occasions, but effective upon passage, then it can be used as follows. So what are your ideas to turn that around to be spent at, and then we can add that, and then I can get a final,
Okay.
a good one to them at the next meeting if we can do that.
So you want to table this pretty much?
So once you guys approve what his expenditures will be, if whatever you want,
All right.
because it's gonna be your ideas if you want to turn around and use it for equipment
So
or.
so what do you want to use?
I think right now would be equipment purchase and/or, I guess for lack of a facility upgrades. And when I say that is kind of with the brine system, I'd like to get some drainage things going on, maybe some tanks in the ground to catch rainwater and stuff to use on that. So, yeah, so facility upgrades and equipment would be.
So can you add that to this, Tammy, and we'll
then we'll get
consider
you-
it at the next meeting?
If that's okay with you, Ken.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because it's probably not time sensitive, is it?
No, we're just getting started. It'll be several weeks to go through everything.
All right.
So that's that. And I don't know if you guys were in office when this started or not. The gates on Boatman Road. You probably
Yeah, I
heard about
heard
it.
about it.
Okay. I talked to Chad, and I think there's water on the road right now. I don't think there's that much. Chad's concern was it was gonna freeze, and I agree. And I was kinda like, if we're gonna put gates up, because there's water on the road, then leave the gates shut. But I guess they're coming from the
I heard they
Austin
ran
side.
over the Austin one.
Yeah,
They're
they're
supposed
coming
to
down
be
to ours.
coordinated between those.
Yeah, but
They
They're
run over
knocking
the-
Austin down.
They run over the gates, and then
They run
Austin
over.
put barricades up, and now they're going around Texas property. and coming back in, and then they get stuck up on our end. It's one of those, it's kind of a law enforcement issue, I guess, if you
I
want to.
had one of your guys, and
It is a
actually,
law
we
enforcement,
passed a ordinance, a high water ordinance, and anybody that gets caught out there can receive a fine from the sheriff's department.
I think if a wrecker picks them up, they can be
Yeah,
fined.
and the record has
Without
to
telling us.
acknowledge us that they're pulling somebody out of the water, but my whole thing is with, and I know it's not our gate at the Austin end of that Boatman Road, it's the city of Austin's gate, but they need to pursue that and, try to find out who ran over their gate, whether they need to put a deer camera up or something to show that, or even on our side, because they got all the way to our gate and probably realized, hey, it's closed and I can't run over that one.
Well, we did arrest a guy. I don't know if they arrested him. We filed charge on a guy who did just that and, flipped his car over and everything.
That was on
decided to plow
Crowsville
through it.
Road, wasn't it?
No, it was right there on Boatman.
Boatman too.
He laid on the side, he took off and vamoosed, and I don't know if they ever found him or not, but, the prosecutor filed charges on the guy.
Well,
So, but they tried to drive, they drove through it.
Yeah.
I'm
well,
sure they weren't drinking or anything.
damaging county property would be a,
That's
would be
what we
a
put the
criminal
criminal
charge
charge
anyway.
now.
So,
So, I guess my question would be, do we hold, there's water on the road? I guess the discussion was today, Austin's wanting to open it up. Chad felt like it probably shouldn't be open. I agreed with him because.
so
of
how much
the road.
water's on it?
I'll be honest with you, I didn't drive down there. His concern was if it was middle of the summer.
gonna freeze.
But tonight it's gonna freeze, so if we're gonna go through putting gates up, why take them down when there's water on the road?
I'd keep it
Mayor,
closed.
Chad's father-in-law, isn't he?
Right, so, well, I don't know. I didn't get into that discussion.
I wouldn't want to open it back up.
I think that we keep our end
That's the way I
closed.
felt about
And,
it.
and our reasoning, you go back to explain, was, and I know you have and I've been, we've had people die out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And,
worked for a guy for a day and a half.
and,
Yeah,
if they, I don't wanna, if they run through and tear everything up and they go out there, we did everything we could to stop them.
yeah,
The only thing we can do is maybe put up, well, not us, Austin put up a better barrier.
right.
Well, I think they put up a regular, farm gate.
Farm gate.
Yeah.
And, we actually, I think, spent $1,500 to have one
Yeah.
made that you can't run over and you can't tear it up, so.
And got signs for a quarter mile away pointing them out, yeah.
Jeff,
All they got out now is traffic cones.
on Austin's end,
That's the only thing up is traffic cones right now.
well, that's what Kevin was saying, they're driving around them and.
Yeah.
So, well, we can do what, of course, it's Austin's end of the road, but they did that on Slab Road, not Slab Road, Main Street, North Main Street, when the bridge started washing out. And we had them go down there and dump a load of rock in the road so they couldn't get around the load of rock, so. And had a guy sitting there screaming at me while we were doing it, I was like, yeah.
Kinda like being at home.
Yeah, so anyway,
Her street department head was supposed to, my understanding, was supposed to fix that Monday. And I worked the radio today because we were short-staffed and all they had was traffic cones out there.
well, again, that's their end, but I think we keep our side up and, it's gonna be a skating rink out there if there's any kind of water on the road right now, so.
The bridge is ours, right?
Yeah.
How high is the water now on our side of the bridge?
I honestly don't know. It's drivable. I mean, that's why I think they wanted to open it up.
Yeah.
I think it's more concerned about the weather. I mean, it's gonna freeze. That's the concern. Can you get through it? I mean, yeah, you probably can.
Yeah, they,
Well, if you,
My thoughts
extremely
are,
safe.
Move it up.
what if we took a couple of truckloads of riprap and actually dumped it out on the bridge so
Well,
they
there's-
can see?
They'd still be driving to the ice up to the bridge.
It wouldn't be
Well,
a,
they could, I'm thinking is they will be able to see the rock on the bridge and know they cannot get past that point. Maybe they'll stop before they get to the high water.
well, the whole thing is that if the road freezes and it's got any kind of water on it at all, it's gonna be a skating rink and somebody's gonna be in the ditch and then there's deeper water there, so.
Yes.
So I'd say leave our place closed and if Austin wants to leave the barricades up like they are, I mean, but I think the sheriff probably needs to know that there is an ordinance out there that, you know, in place.
Yeah, he should know, but.
I know, and I know there was some talk about that, but I mean, there is an ordinance, a high water ordinance, just like Jackson County has, that if you drive out there and you're gonna get fined, and if like John said, if a record service gets called and goes out there and doesn't contact dispatch or the sheriff's department, they're gonna get fined. So anyway, I think leave it closed, and it's a safety issue, and if we did something or didn't do something and something else happened, they'd be yelling at us, so.
Either way you go.
That's kind of the way we felt about it. I mean, once you had them closed, if you open them up before the problem's solved, then
Yeah,
kind of took
I
liability
understand
away.
I mean, you can drive through some water, but what's enough, so,
Yeah,
so.
okay.
What else you
The
got?
next thing I want to discuss was, we've been doing 10-hour days, you know, since paving. We really haven't pulled off of it. It works out pretty good for the highway department, just because of, you know, moving equipment, getting it out to the job, and getting back. We burn up 8 hours pretty quick, especially when a little thing doesn't go right. So I can look at, like, officially moving that schedule to that. I didn't know how you guys felt about it. You just leave it at a set schedule year round. I mean, obviously in the winter, we would have to, you know, if there's a big snowstorm coming in, we'll have to flex hours around and move it around where it works for the county.
I'm okay with it. If I had any concern about it at all, would it be, people calling in on Friday, they're not gonna talk to anybody. That would be
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody knows you're closed on that day. So.
Right. I mean, that would be something we could advertise and change on the door.
Yeah.
Change the recording or something.
Yeah. It works out pretty good.
You probably get more work done, don't you?
Yeah, we get more done, and Lori been kind of flexing her time a little bit. She likes to come in a little bit on Friday when it's peace and quiet. You can get, I have too, so we can kind of get more done in that direction.
Well, I don't think, and I'm gonna be just me talking, I've never had anybody call and complain about not being able to get a hold of anybody, and even on Friday, you have an on-call person.
We have an on-call guy, yeah.
So if something is going on, there's gonna be somebody get out and go, so, I'm fine with it, I mean.
Well, and generally speaking, most of the construction world does work.
Most of them do. There's
10
other,
days,
there
but
is,
it does work out.
I know Jennings County does it.
Yeah.
Have you, I'm just curious, have you kept a check on payroll to see if it changed any when you went to the 4 days from the 5? Has that changed much?
You mean
Or
like
gone
on,
up or gone down?
on call?
Overall, if you've got guys working 40 hours a week for 4 hours, but are 40, or for 4 days, or 40 hours a week for 5 days, it should be about the same amount of payroll.
Yeah.
Has it gone up or gone down going to 4 days?
Well,
I'm just
honestly,
curious, has it made a difference money-wise?
Yeah, not money-wise, because, you know, we don't do any overtime, it's just comp time, so it's 40 hours, 40 hours, no matter how we go about it, cause anything over that's comp.
Okay.
So, I mean, you know, most of our call-ins are at night and storms and stuff anyway. Yeah, you got your occasional thing that happens during the day, you know, but majority of it's not.
Okay. I just looked at mine, I don't mind it tied over from
Yeah.
county this year, from what I've been hearing, so, I'm sure the council wants to look a way to save money, so I don't know if that made a difference one way or the other.
Not that I'm aware of, I think it would just equal out, no matter how you
On
look
the
at
salary
it.
ordinance, it's 2,080 hours for the whole calendar year, so it's regardless of how
How you work it
if
out.
it's a 40-hour week, or and it's 10-hour days or 8-hour days, because overtime is based on the whole week, not a day's worth of work either, so there's no additional cost into comp time or overtime, it's a 40-hour week.
It's 40,
And
okay. I
it's,
see what you're
and we
saying, yeah.
classify as hours on the salary ordinance.
I'm just trying to, okay.
Do you have
That's
a
good.
date that you'd like to anticipate this permanent change?
just-
Because we'll need to change the job description,
More.
just minorly.
Tomorrow would
Yeah.
be good.
Last
Tomorrow.
week,
Do you have a
whatever be
So,
fine.
I don't know, because you're talking about like letting the public know and that type of thing, so I don't know
Uh,
if there's a rollout time you wanna,
I think they've already been used to it, cause it's
Yeah,
been going
we've
on
been on it for a while.
If they're like me, I forget. I'll come running down there on Friday going, where's everybody at?
One
Bam, it
question
hits me.
that I have is, do we have to advertise what days we're working?
I wouldn't think so.
Well, and that's true, because like you said,
Just a
if
shift
you're,
change.
when you were paving, if you knew it was gonna rain on Friday, you were working another day. and-
Yeah, there was a few times where we took off on Wednesday and worked Friday
Yeah,
just to
or
get
the opposite,
thing.
yeah.
And we'll do the same now, I mean, when
Okay,
need
yeah,
be.
that's why I would like.
If we have
It's flux.
certain things, it gets flexed. Yeah.
I trust
Yeah.
you.
It's
That's
40
why I
hours
don't-
somewhere in those days.
it's not like in cricket letters on your door, is it? Like you're here on Fridays from 7:30 to.
Yeah, we
So you'll
have,
have to change the
Yeah, we'll have
public's
to change the
perception,
door.
yeah,
It
on
is
what,
on
how they read, what
put
hours
the
you are, wherever. And we can get it changed on the county
we'll put a
website,
number.
and they can change it on their door.
Okay.
Other than that, I don't know if
Just
you make one.
just
or
put
roll
John's
out.
phone number down.
Go ahead, they probably call me.
There's a potential to get a lot more work done.
Yeah.
Well, I bet
So
you
you don't have
do
to
when you
pull
do
off of
the,
something,
yeah,
when you get going.
If you knock a day off when it's raining,
yeah,
you know,
yes.
Yeah,
Okay, well, we'll look at that direction, but,
we're good.
As far as I'm concerned, just do it.
As
I
soon as
don't
you
know.
can get it
I'm good
done.
with that too.
Okay.
You might wanna, like you say, put something on paper or whatever.
yeah, we'll
On the
get it,
website.
website, so.
What else you got?
The only thing, last thing I got is North Terrell Road that you brought to me.
Yeah,
So, I can't find anything that says we're not supposed to take care of it. Now,
You talking about up by Moon, or by the Marshall Bridge?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had several people call me about that as well, and I think
we ought to
years
resolve
ago, the county paved it, and, then they, it's
so,
like,
it has a sign.
I'm talking all the way back.
Yeah,
back
look,
by the lake.
right here is the,
Yeah,
the Larry printed
I actually
out,
drove
and
by
it
there,
goes back.
when this person called me and said, hey, they paved it years ago, and they haven't touched it for years, and it's kind of breaking up, so.
But he's talking all of the gravel part that goes all the
Yeah,
way
that's
down.
ours. It appears to be.
It appears to be.
Everybody looked at it.
So
Somebody
how
put
far
us-
is it? You're saying
It
one
goes
point
all the way to
one?
the back of the lake, all the way back there to
Oh, I
Joe
know, but I
Hammond's
mean-
back there.
How, is it a mile, a half mile?
I mean, it probably is close to 3/4 of a mile, maybe half
Yeah,
mile,
yeah.
something like that. It doesn't go all the way around, it stopped, that's according to what Larry had.
That second little pond there is where I think.
For some
it
reason,
stopped.
there's a sign there that says County Road Stop Here. I don't know if that's been some sort of, I don't know why that's there.
Somebody
Nobody
probably
seemed
put
to. I know people out there told me the past superintendent got in trouble for going out and putting some rock and gravel out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm looking at, to try to find that.
I heard the county did pave it when it got paid by us, so, and that's been many
There's-
moon ago.
Some speculation that maybe the state may have owned a little bit down there, that used to be over 31,
Yeah,
and maybe up that sign, it might have been state.
I've heard parts of that too.
Yeah, but I think it's ours, and I think we ought to take care of it.
Well,
I mean, I can't find no reason that says it's not.
So I guess on those roads and stuff that we were going through and determining these are our roads and not our roads, and their lanes and they're private, and is that on one of those?
It is on the list as a county road whenever, several plan directors, years ago, back in 2004, when, Mr. Knight was here, there was a very, very detailed look at the road inventory. A lot of things got listed as public and or county, or private,
That shows
county. That shows
Oh,
up
yeah.
as a
But we
C
don't
on our
back that
inventory
far.
list from when we did this back in the
Yeah, I
early
turned around out there.
2000s. Also went down to the recorder's office one day and pulled a survey, and it does depict by the survey that Terrell Road goes to that one point, and then it's private easement that actually takes it on the west side and back south.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing, like you said, to refute that we don't take it all the way to the
Is
northwest,
that another one?
the
No.
northwest kind
Yeah.
of corner
Let
of
me see.
that. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
It picks up as private easement after that, and I've got a
No.
survey there that
No,
shows that.
That's where Sherry
So-
Bowles lives right there.
And again, we
Okay.
kind of
Yeah.
thought maybe that since that might have been a state highway frontage road to a certain point, that the state may have taken care of that little offshoot to that county line sign, and then the county was supposed to have picked it up.
Yeah,
from
it's
that
not been,
point. I don't know.
from the
Yeah.
information I'm getting, it's not been took care of in several years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't see no reason why it's not ours, so we all agree
I
with
see
that.
nothing right now
Well-
to say it's not.
I think the record shows we're actually getting money for that from the state.
From the state, it's on the
Yeah.
inventory
Okay.
list that we
So
If
turn
we're
in
getting
to
paid,
be
it must be ours.
I
compensated
guess we
for.
need to look at, if it needs some.
It's not,
immediate
it's not
repair.
terrible shape, it just needs maintenance, so.
Yeah,
Well, I think the homeowners out there have been maintaining it themselves
Oh,
for
okay.
years, and they've told me they put about $600 a year in gravel
Probably do.
and hired somebody to grade it, because all along they've been told it wasn't theirs.
Right.
And, when I went out, I found out Mark Gardner, the surveyor, had checked it out years ago. And through conversations with all these people, you know, he told them, I said, you know, that's not your problem. But somehow they just fell through the cracks, I don't know. But it does appear to be ours from everything, and I think we ought to take care of it.
I agree.
It's good to me.
That it?
We don't have to.
That's it.
I mean, it don't have to be paved today, but I mean, that, especially that gravel.
Yeah,
part.
just to, yeah, take care of it.
Yeah.
Where are we at with, Bogardus and,
Bogartis, we ordered the fabric, so, it'll probably be in a few weeks, couple weeks, I'd say. You know, we got everything through on the 21 years, so we're basically just,
got their material up?
yeah, get that in. We'll start getting stuff going on it, kind of see what this weather does, code wise. And we ought to be able to kind of move that way.
I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
And maybe it's more for you. I see on here it says, 22 annual supply and material bids.
Oh, we forgot
We
that.
talked about that today.
Well, didn't we talk last year that we didn't really know why we were doing that? And, why we would have sealed bids and open all these bids for rock and asphalt and everything, cause
Yeah.
we're gonna go with the cheapest guy there is, or, you know, whoever's open at that time or whatever, so.
The only advantage that I've seen if, you know, if,
Lock
say
the
it was
price.
culverts, if you lock the price in, but
But
that's
they're
the
not
only
gonna,
advantage
but they're
I
not gonna
see,
guarantee
you
a
know.
price right now on a culvert. If they can't get them, they're
There's
gonna,
probably nobody gonna bid them right now.
Yeah.
I don't think.
And I can trust your judgment on it. If you think there's something we ought to vote and lock it in, then you can let us know.
I mean,
So my
No need.
suggestion.
I don't see it either.
I don't,
Your board is basically to just somebody make a motion, if that's how you feel, to forego annual bids at this time, and then just instruct the highway director to purchase at the best available price
for the quality.
for what they need for, and then that's you, and I think then that just totally
I
wipes
think,
out that annual bid thing.
and I'm for that. Is there any, I'm just asking this, is there any legal requirement where we'd have to add anything? I know our attorney will probably have to tell us that, but I don't know of any legal reason.
I hate locking in prices with
Well,
somebody,
because-
you know,
Well,
it
if they're
just-
real low, you're
Things can change.
taking a
I mean-
chance.
Purchasing. I think you'd have to default back to public purchasing rules anyway, because you would have to look at something that's under 50, what do you do? 50 to 149, 999, what do you do?
Order
Anything
twice.
over 150. I think you guys just default to public purchasing.
Send me 2 invoices.
rules And have him try to secure the best price he can
I
and go
think
through
that's-
these
I think that's the
purchases.
best.
So if somebody wants to forego annual bids and make that motion, then we
I'll
can do that.
make a motion to forego the bidding process. And if you have any issues, let us know, please.
I'll second that.
I'll make that unanimous, so. That was kind of a big to-do with the big packets coming in here and everybody opening them, and half the time you didn't know what they were anyway, so.
Yeah.
So, all right, there you go. Thank you.
Thanks, Cal.
EMS department,
See you.
Thanks for coming.
see you guys. Welcome.
Good evening.
Before you start, I'm gonna, talk a little bit about, this car deal
What?
the car deal that's going on that I guess I'm kinda
Good, I put that in front of my packet.
talking about. But anyway, to update the 2 other commissioners here, I've actually reached out to, John Concord with, John Jones about trying to find 2 Durangos actually Kevin would have probably been all right with that too, but, right now, and I know you 2 guys know that the EMS has 2 pickup trucks, 2 3/4 ton pickup trucks that are probably overkill for what they need. John Jones has 2, Durangos, 6-cylinder Durangos, white. Kevin had already worked a deal with John Conquer when he was trying to buy 2 trucks at the end, or I guess sometime last year. No trucks were available for him to even purchase, but he had the 218 Colorado, I believe, and a 218 or 216 F-150 half-ton Ford pickup that he was going to trade in for 2 trucks, and like I said, there was no 2 trucks. So what I was considering was somehow finding the money to pay for 2 Durangos and allowing EMS to have the Durangos and have the 2 trucks, 3/4 ton pickups, go to the highway department for them to be able to utilize. John Jones did send me a number back, and this was with the highway department's 2 trade-ins on a truck for the 2 Durangos, and I think the price of the 2 Durangos, us giving up two pickup trucks in trade, 2 brand new Durangos, was just under $30,000. It was $29,888 or something like that. So I asked Tammy to look at the highway department's money, look at the EMS's money, and see if there's any way they can find the $29,888 that we could possibly make that trade. And I think even though it would benefit EMS, I think it would technically benefit the highway department much more. So you have any idea if you
I
can
haven't.
shake the tree?
I haven't shook the sugar tree just yet, I guess, so to speak, in the highway budget, but today the budget order just came down. I mean, literally.
Yeah, I heard that.
Today.
I got it at 4:15.
Yeah, so so once we take a look at that, and then we're gonna figure out if there's line items that, certain areas that can be cut, I think we'll have a better idea once we get a chance to digest that, which, you know, hopefully will be, because council meets next Tuesday, so we'll need to kind of do the Cliff Notes version of that by next Tuesday. So maybe we'll have a little better handle on it and get council's input on the process.
Okay.
The cost of what the trucks are selling for now, and when Kevin sells those other 2, that can offset that quite a bit.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you're talking, Kevin's getting the better end of the deal, because
You gotta buy a truck or
he's getting
60 grand.
he's getting 2 trucks for $29,000, and, and yeah, he's trading in a couple of trucks, but probably should have never bought a half-ton pickup, and probably should have never bought a Colorado, so.
I mean, with the current cost where everything's going, I think the 2 trucks that he has could, I guess what I'm trying to say is, equal up to the 29,000 in resale.
No, actually, the 2 trucks that he's selling would be the trade-in. I think they were, the 2 trucks that he's talking about trading in, they were given a trade-in value of like $47,000.
I missed that.
Yeah, they were given like a 47. I think the 2 Durangos were 77,000 apiece, or for both of them. The price of the trade-in on Kevin's 2 vehicles were like in the 47,000 range, and the bottom line was it was 29,888 or something like that for 2 brand new vehicles, and getting rid of 2 vehicles that we probably can't use or shouldn't be using. So
I got you now.
Anyway,
I
all
think
right.
the highway department's budget is where we'll look first.
I think that's where you're gonna
Yeah.
find it, because I think, I asked him if he had something in his budget, and he said no, but I'd venture to say if he was looking for a truck last year, he ought to have something somewhere that he was,
There may, to look at the line items and see what was carried over,
Yeah.
and what they appropriated for in 2022. So
So anyway.
that'll probably be a joint venture with council, because it may require moving some money out of one category into another to get that covered.
anyway, like I said, it makes more sense
It does.
that way, so anyway, go ahead.
Moving on with that, the first paper you've got there is in conjunction with that. There is some equipment on these trucks that we will not be able to repurpose, just because, for instance, the exterior light bars that are on top of the truck, they are 54 inches. The Durangos can hold a maximum of 48. So that's stuff that we would have to get rid of. I have talked to Kevin here. He's willing to give us trade-in value. So this is pretty much a breakdown of what we would have to purchase.
Wait a minute, you lost me here, Kevin.
Jensen at Light It Up.
Okay, all right.
What we would have to purchase for us to equip it, because like the new Durangos, they don't come with any center console. There's nothing anywhere to mount anything, put anything. That changed this year, so that's something we'd have to buy. We'd have to obviously replace the light bars, but then we are getting credit. I've talked to Kevin about these prices from him. I know some fire departments are interested in light bars, as well as the pull-out trays in the back. I don't know if that's something that Kevin Highway can repurpose or not, but this is kind of a breakdown and puts what our total cost out of pocket would be in the middle of the page there. And at the bottom would be everything that we can repurpose or transfer or move over from said trucks to new vehicles.
Okay.
So if there's any questions about that, I can answer that.
Okay.
So it's just more of an idea.
Well, I asked
ballpark.
Kevin to try to get some sort of estimate of what it costs to switch the lights around and get
Yeah,
it
'cause-
stripped the other vehicle and whatever. So.
Yeah, that cost in the middle is including his labor costs. It's not just equipment costs, so that's where it would put it.
Total cost.
Yep.
And you have that money in your budget, looks like.
That's something, that's definitely something I could use out of a vehicle maintenance. The one luxury I do have this year is with having the new trucks, a lot of that stuff's under warranty. So out-of-pocket costs for vehicle maintenance would pretty much be just tires and oil changes that I can, barring something catastrophic happens. The one luxury we do have right now is every vehicle we've got, with the exception of one, is under warranty. So that is something optimistic from the picture.
Of course, all that's gonna end at the same time, too.
Oh, absolutely. It goes from 60 to 0 real quick. Second stapled packet. Just as kind of a breakdown, it goes in conjunction with the colorful chart that I provided to you last time. Finished December with $136,899.19 in revenue. We did 351 total runs, 151 of them were ALS, 127 of them were BLS, and the remainder was AMAs or canceled or standbys and such like that. 233 of those responses were to a home or business 911, 77 of those were transfers from Scott Memorial, and 41 of those were extended care facility transfers. So that kind of gives a breakdown of where our runs are going and where we're doing the runs at. Image Trend is fully transitioned. We are completely done with ESO. We've tidied up all the runs that we can within ESO and billed for all the runs that we could with ESO. When I came here, there was a list of 40 something, Lucas, in ESO that were pending?
Yes.
40, I think it was at 44 or 47 runs that were pending in ESO. We cleaned up everything we could with those and billed out those, and we are done with ESO, so we have fully transitioned. And then our end of year count is 5,059 runs.
Clarify, ESO is a
Charting software.
that,
In conjunction with scheduling software.
that's what people know what.
Yeah, so that is, ESO is a charting software that we use to do our PCRs, which had a cost to it. We have since gone back to the free charting software through ABS, so that 20 or 30,000, whatever, you remember what that cost was last year? It was quite a bit for charting software compared to free. So the only thing that we pay now for charting is obviously just the percentage fee we pay our billing department to do that, but the actual software itself is free.
So ABS is your billing service, and they provide this software as.
Through them, yep.
Through them, okay.
And then, like I said, we finished with 5,059 runs for the year.
Just out of curiosity, do you think Salem, Orchard County is somewhat close to that too?
No, when I left there, they were at 2,600.
Okay.
They don't do the transfers like we do. It's kind of a different animal.
I will be surprised if they break 3,000 runs for the year.
Okay.
That's just, I don't, obviously, the last month I have no way to know what their run volume was, but it would have had to be double what they normally do to break that.
Is their profit margin somewhat close to ours? Less? Okay.
Yes. Quite considerably.
All right.
Trucks, new truck vinyl has been ordered after the approval from last meeting. We're just waiting on it. We've got all but one color.
That 10-year.
Yeah, it's all 10-year. It's 3 through 10, or 5 through 10. He says we should, the last tracking is showing that this last roll of vinyl should arrive Friday. However, the stuff that's supposed to arrive Monday, arrive Tuesday. Stuff that's supposed to arrive Tuesday, arrive Wednesday.
What Brandon's done?
Sir?
What you're talking about?
Yes, sir. So if there's any track record on the way stuff's being delivered, Friday will be Monday. But he hopes to have the truck completely done by the end of the week. And IDHS has approved the truck, given us a registration number and all that good stuff. So they're set with all of that.
As far as trucks, where are we at with trucks? I mean, I know we run 3 full-time. I mean, is there 2 other trucks sitting?
Three.
Is there 3? An
3
old one,
trucks sitting.
an old truck that came back from
Yes, that one is sitting.
EMA.
I've sent an email to Jason Monday trying to figure out if this is decommissioned. Does it have new numbers? Were the numbers pulled off? Where we're at, I have not heard back to see if that is an active EMS transportable truck or not. I do not know.
So we
the
have
answer to that.
6 ambulances right now.
Correct.
And 5 of them are brand, or
Newish, yes.
We had one, the stuff was taken off the bottom of it or something.
that's been, it's,
Yeah,
that's the
that's-
one.
That's the
That's
one
not-
that Jar Welding built the mounts. That
Yeah.
truck goes tomorrow
So we're
to get them
good.
installed, and that's be
We're
back
good
in
with that
service.
one?
Yep.
Okay.
But where I'm going with is that
If we sell one,
we don't need 5, or we don't need 6 ambulances anyway.
I would honestly like to sell one of the newer ones, if that's what you're talking about.
That's
and
where I'm
keep
going.
the older one, cause, there is
Well,
one truck out there that has about 4 inches to spare in the front and 4 inches to spare in the back when it's parked in our bay.
That's the Cadillac.
That's the Chevy 4500?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's massive. If we were to sell one, that would be my choice.
I guess my question, and I know you and I have had this conversation of you said something about Crossroads would sell it or take it, and
They could potentially put it on commission for us and take a percentage, yes.
well, that's where I'm going at, because I don't want to take a heck of a hit, and lose a bunch of money selling an ambulance, but we're not going to need it, and at least one, and possibly 2. But I would like to see, is there other departments that are looking for equipment that can't get equipment that we could sell to another department and not through a dealer?
I don't,
Because at one time I heard Knox County was looking, but I don't know if they were looking for freebie stuff or they were looking for, they were looking to buy, an ambulance. I mean,
I think a lot of services are kind of always looking. I guess my only reservation with doing something like that is a very niche truck. And that's not something that a normal service will pick up. So I think that unfortunately for the best advertisement, the widest spectrum, because you can get into Michigan or Tennessee or wherever with these places that would be able, right, that would be able to advertise at a wider spectrum, because that truck's not something we need or New Chapel needs or Washington County needs or any of that. I mean, it's.
it'd be an Indianapolis, Marion County,
Or even a Norton
Nashville.
Children or something like that, yeah.
I would like to throw something out there on that, just a thought. The ambulance is already paid for, right? So, we
Per
have,
se.
well, right, but I mean, we've already acquired it. And if we was to sell it, most likely we're gonna lose money.
Yeah, you will 100% lose money.
We have,
if you bought.
all these ambulances that we bought at the same time. So theoretically speaking, everything is going to wear out at the same time. So what would be the harm in actually holding that ambulance and parking it in John Jones' building and rotating it through.
I rotate them now. Each month we pull one out of service, move them down the line, and put a new one in. While I understand that reasoning, the one harm is this: that truck is massive. It's got less than 25,000 miles on it and has been wrecked 4 times. 4 times. And I don't mean wrecked like, it's just been straight poles.
Turning
Right,
corners.
right.
and-
It is, when you're sitting in it, the hood looks like it's 15 feet long. I understand where you're coming from on that, and if it was a Type 3 chassis, which is like the van chassis or something like that, I'd wanna keep it. I guess the reason that not that I'm eager to get rid of it, the reason I'm completely willing to get rid of it is not many people like to or can drive that thing. That is the problem. I
Once
mean,
you-
even comparing to my Type 1 chassis, which are the pickup truck chassis with the boxes on it, this is still a pickup truck chassis, but this thing is
It doesn't take a special license or anything.
No, it just, it takes a special ability.
Driving, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like driving a Hummer, I mean, it's just huge.
Yeah, it's,
It's inconvenient to get in around.
yeah, and that's, where you could normally maybe do a 3-point turn, you're doing a 5 or 7-point turn just because there is length to
So
it.
you said Crossroads would entertain kind of a.
They have before, I'm not
on a
saying they will,
commission.
but
Well,
they're
I guess ask them what they would entertain, because I would, because we don't need 6 ambulances. I don't have any kind of problem at all with the older one, because I think as far as I know, it was still commissioned.
it needs some servicing, but it doesn't need
But
$20,000
but in
of
a
servicing.
pinch, it
Right.
would be something that still can make a run, so, but we don't need 6 brand or 5 brand new ambulances or fairly new ambulances, and I think we're,
I would like to know how much we'd be losing.
And
Oh, I know.
if you sold it, where would the money go? That'd be an issue. Where we
We'd
want-
go back into
well,
there.
I'm
Just
saying
go
we
back
might
to-
use it to pay for some things we're having to pay for now.
yeah, that's where I.
Soften the blow a little bit.
That's where I'm looking at, is that
Yeah.
trying to get her head above water,
Yeah.
so, anyway, that's
I'd be
my
for
thought.
looking at that.
What else you got?
School truck's getting fixed tomorrow. Patch truck's got a wheel speed sensor on it, but it is covered under warranty, so that's gonna go get fixed Friday. And then, like I said, we're just waiting on the vinyl to send the new truck to Watson's. Supplies, so on the back, if you go to just slide out the back paper underneath this one, there's a very dull black and white picture. This week, Devon and I, along with the crews, have been working on implementing Operative IQ. What Operative IQ is it's a inventory truck check status system that allows us to track movement any and everywhere in and out of truck, storage room, whatever. That picture there is either expired or overstock that came off of 3 trucks. The total on that is just shy of $3,000 worth of equipment. The truck checks that they had there were truck checks that I had when I was still here the first time. So, and nothing can really transitioned when we got the new truck, so there was not really a good queue count or par count on things. So Operative IQ has been implemented, and the benefit about that is, that was actually an agreement that was signed through Boundtree and stuff a year and a half ago, and it had never been up and running. We had to start from square one, so it took some time to implement, because we have to build asset lists and all that. But anyways, now the crews have to do their truck checks on a computer or a laptop or iPad, whatever, something electronic, because the truck checks are now electronic. It won't let them complete truck checks without going through each cabinet and identifying how many pieces of equipment are there. If there's too many pieces of equipment in there, it makes them remove it before they can finish their truck check. And then if they're short equipment, it gives them an itemized list at the end of what they have to go check out at the supply room. When they do that, it tracks through our inventory. If they grab one gavel, it will remove that from our inventory. So on the admin side, we get to see which truck inventory is going to, which personnel is requesting inventory, and how much movement there is. Also, we can track expiration dates in that, so we don't get to the point where we've got all of that. And then also for ordering, it highlights, we set par levels of what we're comfortable with keeping on station. And once our inventory in the supply room gets below that, it highlights that and says, hey, you need to order this.
automatically puts the reorder amount in our cart, but we still have to go through and purchase it, obviously, in case, still a double check for us to make sure we need it. But that is one thing that, they're not huge fans of, but they're starting to learn it, but there is now a process that they have to do, they have to complete, and then after each run, when they use stuff, they actually have to go back into an iPad and electronically check out whatever they're replacing on the truck and assign it to a truck, so, that is now in
I'm not gonna
place.
waste $3,000 worth of stuff.
No, and like I said, we get to, now we can see what time the truck checks were done, how long they, the main thing that I guess they could do is go through there and just do it, but we can actually tell how long they're in the cabinets in that truck check. So if they're only in there for 30 seconds, I know that they did not check that cabinet. So that's something that it alerts us that says, are you sure? So, yeah. So that's good. And then the supply room, has been organized and done and restructured and set up to where everything is kind of making sense now, so. Training Institute, we have 3 full classes now scheduled. Advanced EMT starts next week. So far, we've got 13. Did you get any more today? 1. So now 14 applicants for that. Danny and I will be splitting that workload just because for the first time that I can remember, we are offering that advanced class, an EMR class, and an EMT class all at the same time. So there is 1 day a week that classroom is not full, and that's on Fridays. So we've got the EMT class starting at the beginning of March, the EMR class starting at the beginning of February. And then the EMT class, we did give a break because it's gonna go through, all the way through September. So we did give a 2-week break for them to have a little bit of summer with their family and whatnot. But other than that, they're all going. Dr. Hicks has given me his CV for the paramedic class. This allows him to be the medical director appointment for the paramedic class. While the paramedic class is still on hold, we have to reappropriate who we're gonna be.
Yeah.
So this is Dr. Hicks' CV and application for him to be the medical director of the paramedic program. So if you guys want to
So we
read
keep
on-
it going, in other words.
Correct. We have to have a paramedic, we have to have a program director, and we have to have a medical director.
Who's your program director? Is that?
I'll get to that in about 45 seconds.
All right, I spoke too soon. Go for it.
And
So
then
this is just
you sign, if you pull it out of there, is the dean's signature right there, which I believe is you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Jacob messaged me Monday and says that he has resigned as program director. As of today, we have 24 days to appoint a new program director or we lose everything. So, I have 2 people interested. I'm indifferent on who it is. I think it's just something that we need to come to a decision on quickly. Both of them have a bachelor's degree. One of them has pretty extensive teaching oriented stuff in EMS. The other one has worked for our service for a number of years. So both of them are part-time with me. So it's gonna pretty much come down to what you guys decide.
I think the only thing that I would have to consider, because I think that's your call, but I mean, the point I think we need to know is in the past, when Jacob was here, Jacob ran the program. That was part of just his, I guess, salary, he was doing that.
Correct.
Since Jacob left, we've had a contract with Jacob to
For an extra
continue
fee.
that.
Correct.
And that was an extra fee. And then I guess when Shannon was here, he had somebody set up that, I don't know how that person was gonna be paid as well, but I'm sure it was gonna be contractual. But here's where I'm gonna have to say that you need to go to the council, is that I don't know how that's gonna play in, that if you have a part-time employee that you're paying over here to work a truck, and then over here you're paying them, does it need to be set up like it has in the past with a contractual type of contract? Or is it part of their hourly wage with them, you know, I don't know how the council wants to,
And I think
you
the
know,
only way
look
that
at
you,
that, and,
I guess that you would have to pay them hourly for each class hour in addition to any stuff they do outside the classroom.
well, but then, how do you set a hourly rate for a person that has a above normal classification as a bachelor's degree, teaching a paramedic class? So it's not like you would,
And I know
to
one
me, you
of,
would be paying them the same rate as, you know.
and one of them has an LLC, like for their teaching stuff, so I don't know if that helps the situation where it can be contracted to that LLC, as, you know, you're paying.
I don't think
Whatever.
Jacob had that. I mean, I don't remember Jacob having
But I'm
anything
just,
outside.
to separate the
Yeah.
difference from part-time employee to
Yeah,
business, I
I
guess
think
would be
it's
one
something
thing.
that they would, I think the council, and I'm saying they, the council would have to look at as far as how that's paid.
Okay.
Whether they wanna go back into a contractual type of thing with either one, and say this is separate from your part-time gig with EMS, and that it's, you know, it's an additional, or, you know, and I don't know what the liability, one way or the other, you're covered because of what Richie said a while ago on the insurance, but would it be different if you were a employee type of thing doing it, or a contractual type of person doing it? I don't know if that's something that would be any different.
Yeah.
There's a disclosure that you can file if the county contracts with you and you're employed by the county. It is always obviously a little more at arm's length if you have a company that you're paying and this person works for the company, so that takes us out of the workers' comp loop and that type of thing. Establishing 2 rates of pay and 2 different positions for one person at the
That's-
county can get a little hairy. Because again, obviously if they get hurt on one position, it keeps them from being on another position somewhere. If they would be hurt as an EMT, that may keep them, if they're on workers' comp, from being able to fulfill their contractual agreement with the county. So that's where it gets a little complicated. So again, if you contracted with an LLC,
That relieves
they
us
would
from
have, that would
obligation.
relieve you from that particular thing, and I have no idea who these people are, so I'm
Right.
just talking just from the business side of it.
So,
Well,
24 days to think about it.
okay, well, I'm gonna, we don't have 24 days, so I'm gonna ask, I mean, I don't know if you wanna, I mean, would you wanna pick the guy that does that paramedic class?
I'm
Would
like
you wanna
you.
pick that guy that does the paramedic class?
Well,
or
just
would
be
you-
straight,
It's your
hey,
responsibility.
just be straight up, he knows more about it
That's
than
what
I
I'm,
do.
and that's where I'm going
And,
with.
I'd say
I don't
take
think
your-
it needs to be
take your
us
pick
making
and
that,
you got
and
my blessing.
I think if he comes to us with a contract, or if that's what council next week tells him, hey, I think you need to do it contractually, then they can say, here's who we're going with, and here's what it is, so.
There's
Our
a love
blessing.
next week.
You know,
I got you.
We
We'll
don't
figure it
wanna
out.
I
wait
got
for
faith in
24
your
hours
reason.
there.
I don't either. I'd
Yeah.
rather have it done and be
But
over
it's-
with, because then we can, once we get this set in place, we can actually focus on kickstarting it back up, because that's still, even if we had one today, we're minimum 3 months out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I've talked to those ladies at
Coneps and all that.
yeah,
Yep.
and they're like, hey, just let us know, and we'll be right there and do it. But they're not gonna do a walkthrough until you have somebody in place
Correct.
and you're ready to go. But they also, I mean, on one hand, I was having people tell me, oh, you're gonna lose it, and you're not gonna lose it, we're not gonna let you have, it's not gonna happen, so. But we do have, it is time sensitive, and we need to make that happen sooner than later, so. So you need to get on their agenda on Tuesday.
Do you need our permission, or just,
I think we need,
I don't think we need to vote on it, just do it.
I think consensus that we're telling him that he needs to pick the person. Cause
Well,
you
after I talk to
what's
them.
gonna better fit
Yeah.
your situation, so.
And you'll let us know who you pick.
You know
Yes,
this
sir.
game better than I do.
So, what else you got?
Carry on. Personnel, I'm gonna skip over the top one just for a second. As of 1/18, I'll be fully staffed for sure this time. And then I also have one person on deck if we do get to move the deputy director off the truck. Skipping back to the deputy director, the page after this one and the page after that one are both mostly objective, but somewhat subjective statements of my reasoning and thought process behind that position. I've reached out to ambulance billing, and talked to their main person up there. While they could not provide a written statement, because even in generalities, everybody knows where I came from, and then they disclose their information, she has asked that you reach out to her and talk to her about the situation, so she can, that way it's not coming from me and I'm not just trying to better myself.
Karen,
Heather.
Heather.
They sent us something, I got something the other day playing from them.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah,
don't know if you
actually,
got
they send a summary out at the end of the year to
Yeah.
all three of them.
that. Who was the lady you mentioned?
Heather.
Heather?
Yeah. Her phone number is in those,
It's on
several
the-
places in those big
It's on
paragraphs that I
email.
provided.
It's on that email.
But, that way, she can just go into a little of depth of how efficient our billing was there and how much money we've left on the table here, and stuff like that. I know that, I sat downstairs in the EOC with, Teresa for about 30 minutes earlier. And while that is not a huge time to dissect our budget, I can sit here and tell you with confidence that if the council does, allow me to make this move as well as you, I will not be asking for an additional appropriation for this position. So this will be something that I have confidence in that I can work in with the budget that I do have.
Could another admin help you?
Okay, so I did watch that meeting, and unfortunately, there is some issues with some of the logic, and if you're not in the environment, you don't know. So
Right.
one thing that we cannot do an administrative assistant, like Pat, do another Pat, for the simple reason is you have to have a license to be able to be in those charts, like to do certain things to those charts, and deal with face sheets and do with that.
Because of HIPAA, right?
Correct.
I got you now.
So now that HIPAA's in play, you
Yeah.
can't just let Jim, John, and Harry in that chart.
I got you.
Number two, when it comes down to the billing classifications, what the process that's been out there before is they have the supervisors, who are also working a truck and balancing runs, do the QA and send it to billing. Problem with that is, for several years, and it's no disrespect to the level of care, you've got EMTs, a lot of the supervisors out there for years have been EMTs. The problem with that is now you've got a lower level of care QAing my run as a paramedic. It doesn't go over well because some of the EMTs don't know classifications of the difference between ALS1 and ALS2, or ALS1 and ALS1 emergency, or what constitutes as the difference of procedures versus the two. And that's how we've been leaving money on the table. Now, billing does correct some of that, but then it has to go with, was it charted in a narrative? Was it charted in a procedure? There's a lot of stuff that goes in depth just when it comes to billing. And I can say, I don't want to sit here and say that we're going to make more money doing this next year, because if our run volume goes down, then we're not going to make more money. What I will sit here and say, again, in confidence, is that unit price, what we're getting per run, if you will, I guarantee you that will go up. And it's not that we'll get more money per run having that position, it's just overall we will be billing more efficiently, because right now the process is that the supervisor QAs that run, and let's say you didn't get a face sheet, or the face sheet didn't upload. I flag you and wait for you to come in 3 or 6 or 12 days or whatever to come back and do that run. Well, now we're sitting out there with 12 days of that run not being billed. Doing what I would like to do, now that person can go and acquire all these face sheets from these places, attach it to that run, and send it off the same day to billing, so we're not waiting for you to come in and do it. Then, now internally we handle that. You didn't get a face sheet, you're gonna get wrote up. You didn't do your job. But we're not costing ourselves money by waiting for you to, especially our part-time employees, we're not waiting for you to come back in to fix your run. And I know that a lot of this is centralized around billing, but it's not all a billing benefit. One thing I did bring was this handy thing that is from Medicare and Medicaid. So this is something that started new 5 days ago. In 2020, Scott County was elected to be part of this, pilot program for Medicare ground transport. Well, that got pushed because of COVID, and now here we are. apparently in 2024, all services are slated to go to this. But what we have to do is we have to report fuel mileage, usage of trucks, qualitative and quantitative values for who's on the runs, meaning is it paramedic or EMT, is it advanced or paramedic, averages of on-scene times, and then averages of on-scene times outside our top 90th percentile. And it goes into a lot of in-depth stuff that we cannot get around. Or we can get around it, we just can't do Medicare.
But what you're doing, it affects the amount of pay it comes in, correct? I mean, if you don't do all this stuff, I thought when you
If we don't do that, we can't, we're
We
not part of
talked last week,
Medicare.
that's what, yeah. okay.
Yeah, this is a
Gotta do
Medicare,
it.
it's a Medicare requirement.
Well, most of your transfers are all.
But I think,
Yeah.
I thought, maybe I misunderstood you last week, but,
Mhm.
all that information tells how much Medicaid will pay.
Well, all that
I mean,
information
if
goes
you
to
pay-
Medicaid and see what our average mile is for their run.
Yeah.
Because what they're doing, they're not just getting ours, they're gonna end up getting
Mhm.
everybody's. But I think what they're doing is, I think this is the first step to them finally reevaluating their Medicare and Medicaid rates, because they haven't changed
Yeah.
in forever. And I think that this is, I can't say for certainty, I don't work for the federal government, but this looks like it's probably a step for them to start reevaluating the appropriate rates for Medicare and Medicaid, if I had to guess.
I could see.
Which is a good thing. It's
But anyway, you
been
got,
15 years.
no matter
but-
what, you gotta do it.
Yeah.
You know, this ain't something
We
you gotta
are,
force on.
Scott County is now voluntold, so here we are.
Nothing like the federal government come in and make life better.
Hey. So, again, that's more stuff that we have never had to do,
Question.
that is added onto our plate.
Well, thanks, sir. Always take a picture better.
I have a question that.
Yes, ma'am.
May be challenging because it's fun,
Mhm.
but,
I'm up for it.
you made the comment about, and I need clarification because I don't really think I know, that Pat could not get into the charts because of HIPAA. There were some things she couldn't get to, but I know personally, when I came up to get a report for a family member, she got in the chart, she copied it, she gave me absolutely everything that was in that chart.
So what?
So explain the difference.
The difference is that we get a request for, we have a form on our end that is a request for release of form. And if you came and got it, she can provide that to you because you are our affiliating hospital.
No, it was me personally.
Okay, then there was a request for
signed
form.
the
Did she get your, yeah, so
I
since you
signed
signed that
all that.
request,
It's a family
you
member.
you as an identifier of that person.
But she had access to the.
She has access, but she can't just go through there on her board time, because we get to see every time someone goes into a chart. That's the difference.
But
is
she
it-
couldn't get in to look at some of these things that were missing. And I'm
She
not saying
can,
she
but
should,
she, in theory, yes, she can click on the computer and do it.
But legally, she's not supposed to?
Correct. She's not supposed to be in runs unless she has a verification of form for her to be in that run. Because you have signed a waiver that says you can do this. Like, she can't just, on her board time, start going, what have they done today?
So every time basically she logs in, she has to have a form that backs that access.
Yep, and the thing is, there's two ways for her to access forms. There's one without PHI and one with. So we have the opportunity when she logs in to do with PHI or without. A lot of the times that she has to look at, like if she looks at just insurance information to see if insurance information is attached, she'll do the without PHI version because it's not releasing any of their social security number, birth date, or any of that. She'll get to see if there's something attached to it, but it won't be, it's not displaying the full run report. It actually, when you go into that, it's blacked out. It looks like a Sharpie, but electronically.
Okay. So what do you need from what do you need from us on this deputy director? I know we talked about.
I guess your good
before.
graces, I have
And actually, that's what I was getting at, was that.
I have a advisory board meeting tomorrow. I've talked to Jean as well off, and she, from what I've told her, she is in support of it. However, she wants to go in depth tomorrow, so that's what we plan on doing. I don't know if it helps the council that I won't be asking for any additional money. I don't know. I think one of the issues in that meeting was exempt or non-exempt. So, funny story about that. Found 2011 when the deputy director position was written, it was classified as exempt in 2011.
But yet it has been traditionally used since 2011.
In a
as
non-exempt.
A non-exempt way. So we have paid correctly, even though the classification on the paper said exempt. We have paid
And
it
did you-
correctly, because it really was treated as a non-exempt. And to kind of get into that further, the FLSA,
Did they get back to you officially on that or no? Off the draft?
off the draft,
Yeah.
on
The one I wrote.
yes.
Okay.
So but you didn't change anything, so they're good with that,
Good.
yes. So, but I'm glad we paid like we paid, because we paid overtime on that. Because the primary function was generally known that.
They were a
the
paramedic
functions of
more than they
paramedic
were-
First, and did deputy director duties as they could. And we paid them like that, so we're not in trouble with wage and hour as far as how we actually, literally, in reality, handled that position.
Correct.
But on paper, somehow, at some point in time, Wagner Irwin Shiley was not our human resources director in 2011.
Correct.
So it was classified as that for some reason, and I think it's just because it had deputy director on there, and a lot of times your deputy positions are fully administrative, and it's probably just a clerical
And I
error.
think the difference is, right now, they are a paramedic first before they're a deputy director.
And they have to be, if you are, I'll even go this far, if you are doing 50-50, or.
It's gonna lean on the
It's
side of the
gonna lean on the
admin.
side of overtime.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's where I was talking to him the other day, I said, if we have anything that's classified as exempt, due to whatever reason, whether it's, an instructor's exemption, administrative exemption, an executive exemption, a computer, exemption,
Yeah.
Whatever it is, they have to be administrative. They should rarely respond as an hourly person in that capacity. So if you are, even though you're licensed as a paramedic and you're
And I
under
think that's where we get
some
into
type
the
of-
battle, is we have a duty to respond and a duty to act, but
But
we
there
don't
should
go
be
on,
some-
we don't go on, out of the 351 runs a month we do, we don't go on 80 of them. We
No.
go on 10 of them if that.
So
And I think Zach would even say 10 might be pushing it.
is the
But
classification.
that could be, yeah. 'cause
That's a
he's-
difference of opinions when you haven't worked in this line of work though,
Right.
too.
But if what you found out, would that satisfy, and
From-
I'm gonna lean on a councilman here that really had some conversation about this on the last meeting, is that what you were talking about?
Yeah.
What's that?
Of making it is it non-exempt and then you would have to pay more, or?
Making sure that the position was clarified
Correctly.
correctly, and so that whatever, however it was classified, that that's what they were doing, and not classified as one thing and then doing the majority of the funds, I guess.
Right. And
And, yeah, so that's what we were looking at, and I know that there's certain positions have to be classified as certain things, so.
And paramedic on the FLSA worksheet is non-exempt.
right, when your
So
job
that's-
is to be a paramedic
Yes.
only, yes.
Yes.
Right.
So that's why we have to be really careful with people who, like Nick said, falls in that.
But
like,
just
we have a
because-
duty, but yet we,
But just because you are a deputy director doesn't pull your paramedic license.
no,
away.
and that's not what
And
we
you
want
still have
either.
obligatory
No.
obligations for
Yeah.
that.
No.
But your primary function is not to work on a truck. Your primary function isn't to do runs. Your primary function isn't to provide patient care. But it doesn't negate the fact that if we're out of trucks, or I have a BLS unit available and it's a cardiac
Or there's a
arrest,
50-car
then we have to
pileup
go.
on 65,
And
yeah, that kind of thing, but that's what we're talking about. It should be a very rare occasion.
And that's how it's worded in
It
there.
shouldn't be a weekly occasion.
And it
That's
was,
where I think Zach would say, you don't do this every week.
right, and it was, what will we have to, how will we substitute that person that's now not on the truck all the time? Now that they're,
With another person.
I understand that.
Right,
But that's where we were coming from.
Yeah, well, I get that.
It's another person on payroll. So-
It's
Right,
yeah.
it is, but
So-
with the budget that I received today, it won't be.
Right, I know, I understand that,
Yeah.
but we were trying to.
But like I said, I get that there is a cost to it, but I think the difference is that,
Well, I think what
You
you
know,
gotta sell is the benefits.
is that,
So put your salesman hat on.
no, I think the benefit is that I can sit here and in confidence say that our billing rate will be better per unit. I
I get that.
And I can sit here and say that, it's a comfort thing, I think, in-house. I think you can ask any of the employees that are sitting behind me, it's a comfort thing, because not only do you always have an additional person to back you, that it's a comfort thing when it comes to making sure we have our equipment, make sure you having your stuff. It's a comfort thing for me, especially when we're dealing with the DEA, with narcotics, because instead of now, you and me signing one day, and then you and me signing one day, and then you two signing one day, it's a constant thing to make sure that, all right, something's fishy here. You have the same set of eyes looking at it all the time, instead of just random stuff. I mean, there's certain things, unless you're in the environment, that probably are like, well, that's not that big of a deal. But, to me, I don't really like messing around with the federal government a whole lot for extra attention, so.
So I guess the other side of this is, Wendy said that if you pull that person off the truck, or is it a shift that you're pulling a person off the
No,
truck?
that is their status, it is.
No, I mean, I understand that, but I mean, I know before the deputy director was working X amount of hours on a truck, X amount of hours in the office.
But then they would have to get part-time people to fill that position to work those hours and this and that. This would be that person does not have a rotation ever. They have a
I
Monday.
get that, but I mean, what is the opening that has to be filled?
A 24/48
So it is a
position.
full-time position?
Correct.
Even though they were
Part-time.
part-time, that's
They
where I'm getting
weren't
at.
who was part-time?
Well, the deputy director was in the office sometimes and out of the office sometimes, or what you were saying before. The deputy director before was a full-time on a truck, but he was
But they were
part-time.
trying to balance work and okay, for example,
And that's where I
her
said,
scheduled shift this week, or last week, was 72 hours, scheduled shift. She worked 86. Because she had to come in on her days off
that's,
to do what I needed,
and I'm getting
what we
that, I
needed to
mean,
get done.
that's where I'm getting.
So, very rarely was the assigned shift the only work shift. Or it was supplemented with, she was there on her truck shift, but not in the truck role, she was off the truck, and then part-time people were substituting her position on the truck.
What I think we're looking at is, and I'm not taking away from anybody, it's the money that comes with it, 'cause that's what we look at. And so it's not just the pay, it's the benefits that we're bringing in full-time. And that's what we were trying to figure out. What are we doing?
And while I respect
And
that,
it wasn't really clear at the last council meeting, because we didn't.
and I didn't get into it, and I didn't
Yeah,
think.
because we didn't know.
Yeah,
And
that's where it is, and while I agree that you have to look at the cost of the benefits and stuff, I think you have to look at the opportunity that we have to actually, like, the one form that we gave you was $30-something thousand. When I left somewhere else, that form had 852 on it.
So the person that you're going to replace, or add on, at what pay scale are you talking?
So it'll be, right now, I'm short one medic. So it would be a medic because I hired an EMT when I had the opportunity. So that one, instead of hiring a paramedic for my paramedic spot, that person wanted to hold off for a minute. So I hired an EMT in their spot, so it would be a paramedic hire.
Okay, and that is, how much a year?
that's about
17.25.
It's $17.25 an hour.
An hour base, and then they
I
have
think
a
it's
built-in
50
824 hours overtime.
Your base is, I think, 57 and change.
Their base is actually less than that, because that's just a 40-hour
Well,
week. And
their
then they
base,
work
including
800
their overtime, I think is around
It's gonna be
57.
57.
All right, so 57, and then, insurance,
57 to 60, I wanna say.
We're talking about
60,000.
28,000 for the benefits and somewhere.
And it's just kind of figuring 25 for the benefits, because it depends on what insurance plan they take. So we kind of figure in the max, which could be up to 25,000 for their benefits.
okay.
Because that's
Which
what the
I know you
457
can't look at
match.
it this way, and I know that that's probably dumb for me even saying it. Person that would be coming on wouldn't be taking insurance or any of that, but you can't bank on that all the time, and I completely understand that, but,
Right.
you know,
'Cause they're
especially,
replacing
Well,
one
we're
of
setting
these
precedents,
extra
you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
That might change later.
Yep.
But, you know, so we're looking at 82,000 extra a year.
yep.
But you're saying we're gonna probably get that back.
I don't wanna sit here and tell you that. I would much rather you call Heather and talk to her to see the system that was in place where it was and how effective it was. Cause I mean, I can sit here and feed you a line full of doo-doo all day long and make it seem how great it is, but if you want a objective opinion, then her number is on there. Because I'm gonna sit here and tell you that it is efficient, it's productive, I mean, it is what it is. If I wasn't that, if I didn't have that belief in it, I wouldn't still be sitting here harping on it.
Well,
I'm sorry, Mike.
no, I was just gonna say, I'm gonna use John's line, I'm for it, but
You ended up.
but
Last year in the black.
but I think that,
By how much?
136,000, 138,000 or something like that. But 136,899.
And I know, so pretty
I'm
much.
gonna say yes, I'm for it.
And so I know this is a bad way to look at it, but I tried to break it down into easy math on this big first summary right here,
Actually, that's not.
where it says that we, about the third bullet point down, it says we did, 5,059 runs, and we brought in right at 1.5 million, I believe. So to break that down, for that person to pay for itself, I wanna be completely transparent. We're not going to gain money by just having this position. But what I'm saying is, for us to effectively bill and be able to change some of this stuff and not let this stuff sit out there in la la land and do all this, that person will have to make $11.86 per run to recoup everything we're spending on that person. That's what it comes down to unit price to be, $11.86.
I agree with it. I'm fine with it.
Well, like I said, I had a different, I had another plan, for EMS back 6 months ago, and, it was making, 2 full-time employees, but it was cutting some money here and doing something over here with an office manager, but I saw the benefit of having that full-time person, if nothing else for backup on a truck, backup on a run, backup on another truck, operating a second truck. So I'm gonna lean towards, doing it. And, I guess if you're asking for the blessing from the commissioners to go to the council, I can't guarantee what they're gonna do. I mean, they're gonna ask you the same hard questions that, they've asked before, and how you gonna, but I think if you explain it and say, here's what I think it's gonna cost, here's what I think is the benefit, and, I think they're gonna give you a fair shake, so. But as far as, you okay, Danny?
Yep.
If I give him CPR.
Got you, buddy.
No,
You have to call this, you have to call dispatch first, sir.
Jeffrey.
yeah, I'll go along with the guys, right, just, it's always gonna come down to money though.
It's always gonna come to money, and quite honestly, and I wanna say it to all EMS, I mean, it's, I told you this when you first started and everything else, is that, EMS had, and it's no fault of anybody, that's there now, and I think we're gonna have to dig out of the hole that.
And I agree.
People's put us in, and it's not fair to you or your current staff, I mean,
And I think that's the biggest thing one thing that I can bring to the table is I have been a director somewhere else. That's not, the last 10 years, they haven't had that. And I have been able to implement stuff that worked or hasn't worked, and had a couple of years of experience of seeing the benefits certain places. And I hope.
well, like I said, I think you're gonna have to be patient a little bit, but
Absolutely.
but and I told you that too.
And
But also, I think we need to give you the benefit of the doubt too, and you know, as I think all three commissioners have said, I mean, go with our blessing and
Good luck.
and
Yeah.
good luck, because I'm not saying good luck, because that's a terrible thing to say, but
I'll take it back.
Super
then.
hopeful. Doesn't sound very optimistic.
but I say,
Yeah.
you know, go sell your, you know, your plan, go sell it.
Yeah.
I think if they I'm not saying if they understood it, because I think if you explain it to them and say, here's what it is, and here's what we're gonna benefit, and it may not equal out, but it's going to be closer than, you know, $85,000, and somebody go, hey, it's $85,000. That's not, it's closer to the center than that, and if we can keep $3,000 worth of equipment or supplies being thrown away or being used correctly, and not have to repurchase something because we already have it and we're buying it again, and then stuff expires, and
There's a lot more
I
than
just-
just the billing aspect.
I
that goes into
get
this.
that, and that's where I'm going, is that explain all that, and I think you'll get a
Well,
fair
we're trying to
vote.
make it a lot more efficient.
It's
And,
efficacy and efficiency.
For me, I want to do the math on it, because I want to know exactly what I'm agreeing with.
Rightfully so.
And I wanted to understand a little bit more in depth about what you were
And-
talking about. Not that I didn't agree,
There's 2 pages of,
yeah,
you know, that you can go home and read. If
Right.
you've got anything, call me.
but that's why I wanted to keep asking questions tonight.
Absolutely.
And as far as I'm concerned, honestly, this is the one department that, you know, it's got the capability of making money, but I would much rather see the citizens of Scott County get the best care that they can get, and I'm not so much worried about the money as long as it's not costing us anything, and that's, again, that's why I love it.
So the action that we're taking here is that perhaps you're gonna give this blessing to go to council and
Yes.
table approval of the job description until funding? Because if you change the job description now, and they say, I'm playing the other side, if they say no.
I don't think we
the
can
council-
change it, because then it screws
Yeah.
up the person that's
So-
in that position
So
now,
let's,
so.
so is that what we're gonna,
Well-
tell him that he has the blessing to proceed to council
If I get
for
council's
funding,
permission, I can come back
then-
in
and then get the
February to
job
get approval.
description
Actually, in
finalized.
January.
Or how about make a motion to go to council and you will approve contingent upon council funding?
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yes.
And that way you'll have your job description already approved if they fund it.
Good.
Is that good? So does somebody wanna make that motion?
Make that.
What she said, I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Randy makes Tammy's motion.
I'm not gonna repeat all that.
I'm still going back to good luck.
It's not very optimistic.
So your motion, Randy, is to, and I'm confirming with you, to
All
approve his
contingency,
approaching
yeah.
council for the funding of the EMS positions, and the deputy director's job description will be changed with exempt status and the revisions contingent upon council funding, the new position, correct? I gotcha. That was your motion,
That's
right?
my motion.
Okay, gotcha.
Second.
Good
I'm not
Good
repeating
luck.
it,
Good luck.
John. I'm not repeating
What do you
this.
second?
Yeah, we can't understand the motion.
Yeah, Randy made Tammy's motion again, and John seconded it, and I'll make that unanimous.
Being
that
president, you're
that
supposed to
we're-
repeat that.
That we're going to go to council, with our blessing to, you know, for the deputy director position, so. When you leave here, I mean, contact Crossroads or whoever else ambulance services out there and see, I mean, I don't wanna take a bath on an ambulance, I mean, but I know that what we bought was not I think it was on a showroom floor somewhere, and somebody probably said, here's a deal of the century, and, you know, we end up with it.
Well, that kind of goes in my other business. I'm almost done, I promise. I've got 3 known and co-pilots that I'd like to resell if we can. They retail for $6,500 a piece.
What are they?
They're known and co-pilots. So they're really fancy pulse oximeters, but they also measure cerebral perfusion pressure and Yeah,
Come
big
down,
words.
come down to earth.
They measure
It's a
your
Dujman
oxygen
Flippy
level.
that does a lot of things.
It's something that we can do without.
Okay, I understand that part. Okay.
So can you sell it?
I'd like to, if you can give me permission, I can see if I can put them on contract with Boundary.
Can we do that?
That is your purview to tell the departments how to dispose of personal property that the county has, so that's under your.
So if he,
bailiwick.
whatever funds he gets from this, it would come back to his,
EMS department, we would, it's kinda like letting him do
so,
a mini auction
Right.
for this, to dispose of this. So if you give him permission to dispose of those pulse ox, or whatever they are, in, yeah, those things.
Yeah.
I wasn't the only one.
so I guess where I'm getting at is I wanna make sure that if he sells something, that you're gonna know that he's selling it, and you know where the funds are, and that the funds
They
are.
will need to bring the proceeds back to the auditors, they'll run it through the
Process it.
checking, and then we'll quitus it into,
Okay. I
And the
just
same
wanna-
thing, before we get off topic of that, we have that UCAPIT system in the bay that is completely empty. It's that vending machine.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
It's completely empty. Same thing with
Is that a rental thing, or?
No, that
we bought it?
that's been there for a long time.
What do you want to do with the proceeds?
is,
Put it back in my stuff, I guess. Pay off what
You
we
want to
owe.
sell it, is that what?
Yeah, I want to sell that I would like to be able to sell that UCAPIT
What's it
stuff.
worth?
what helps, I'm sorry, what helps us is if we've got, like, if you'd like to dispose of the following property, and then you list it out on a piece of paper, and,
Yeah.
and then they approve that list, and
Okay.
then we'll be,
I can do that. I
We'll
mean,
have a
this
piece of
isn't
paper.
pressing, it's
Yeah.
just, what it
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
vending
Bring
machine.
your list
The one
that you
piece
wanna get.
retails new for 9,000, the other one retails new for 4,100.
And that's where I was getting at, was that I want a trail of what's going on here, instead of somebody going, yeah, we sold 15 items and I don't know where it went.
Yeah,
So
and
here
I just
for
want,
some-
before I went through all that, I just want to make sure that's something I can do, because it's just,
Bring us a list of what you wanna sell, and then, we'll approve it.
last
then
thing, go
we'll
ahead.
figure out in the meantime if you have, a fund for, like, auction proceeds that we can, you know,
Put
Drop
it in.
back.
yeah, so we may have to do 2 ordinances the next time. So,
Yeah, that's fine.
yeah.
Last thing, Scott Valley Drive, who's responsible for that, city or county?
I think that's a city, but let me get with
You
the
got a
mayor.
big
So
fucking
there's,
truck over there.
I've had to replace 2 tires in the last week because of that thing. No joke, one bumped a bead and one blew a belt. It's probably 5-6 inches deep, and it's.
Right there as you pull out.
Yeah.
First
Scott
off,
Valley
thanks for
Drive.
coming and telling us.
Welcome.
I do think it's, it's been that way a long time.
It's just gotten bad, like, cause right now, no matter how much sun or we have or don't have, the rainwater just sits in it like a pond, and you
You
don't
said-
know how
are you-
deep it is until your tire's in it.
Are you talking about right at your drive?
Yeah, so right when you kinda clear off of our drive onto Scott Valley Drive, I mean, it's,
Oh, it's a
Yeah, I
truck
know,
over.
it's
Bad.
rough, but
Yeah.
I'm tired of paying
Let me get
$200 for tires cause
Let
of
me get
it.
with Terry and tell him, see what he wants to do.
Okay. That's all, I'm done.
Alright, I've got, what do I got?
I only went over like an hour.
That ain't bad.
I had a lot of stuff to cover.
I'll get back.
Oh.
Good meeting.
I'll read some of this and keep with you.
The fuel, was the fuel locked into a price? I know we locked it in earlier and then price went up. We went over our allotted gallons and, have we locked any type of fuel in? price-wise?
I have not locked anything in.
Okay, the other thing is did we switch the tank out?
Yes, that is
from
done.
diesel to gas?
The little tank is now diesel and the big
Okay.
tank is now
All
gas.
right.
That
So
has
that's-
been done.
Alright, that's where I was going with, so, alright, that's all I got.
We're not running out of fuel anymore.
There you go. Alright, that's all I got.
Thanks.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
And there was one more item on the EMS agenda, not that necessarily pertained, but Nick would probably want to be here. Council had requested at your last joint meeting, and I put a note on there about setting a possible joint meeting with the council for EMS discussion.
Okay.
So you guys be thinking about something, communicate to me and we'll work on a date, if they want
Right.
to just sit down and power out about stuff.
First of
I'm-
Yeah, I
First
thought
of
that was
February.
more to pertain to this deputy director position, so everyone was on the same page.
Page.
But I think we went 45 minutes into it tonight, and I can do the rest there. I mean, it is what it is at this point.
Alright,
And it was just a council request, I was just reminding you guys.
good seeing you.
Thank you.
Not you, you.
Yes, take care.
See you later.
Take care.
See you. See you.
Well, these EMS updates are gonna get shorter.
Danny, I thought Jeff's gonna have to do CPR mouth to mouth here in a minute.
That wasn't an update, that was.
I don't somebody step
EMS
in.
and area plan, they take up everything.
See you, Danny. Take care.
I think they said.
Go ahead, Jeff.
I didn't think you could make Marty Randall be quiet.
Is Marty here?
Eddie Mary.
Yeah, Marty's here. Hey, Marty.
I think she fell asleep.
No, she's worried about them gates out there at 31.
Go ahead.
The only thing I got, and the attorney's not here, I don't know if did he send you anything?
He is detained across the river in some type of proceeding that he can't get away from,
That's
so he is not here.
Well, I
At the
sent,
moment, of
I
course.
sent him the MOU to work up. I don't know
Oh,
if he
for
got
that,
that done
for
or
that
not.
truck? That's not, yeah,
Yeah.
it's,
That's not pressing.
no, it's not.
The school district said I can come get it anytime, but, I'm
And
just-
explain to him what happened, so everybody knows what we're talking
Scott
about.
County District 1, had 2 of the minibuses. I call them a little church bus. And, I went up and looked at both of them, and the school board made it surplus and gave the superintendent Jones permission to donate that to EMA, the county. And they sent me a MOU, and I sent it to Zach for him to rewrite and change the names and all that stuff. But free of charge, 2002 Chevrolet minibus. They said it runs and operates good, so.
But you're gonna use it as a command center in
We're
case
gonna-
of emergencies and stuff like that.
That's gonna replace this. And the next thing on the agenda is, District 9, State of Indiana District 9, EMA had that command trailer. Well, Scott County took it over, didn't retain ownership, but we took over, maintenance of it. And the title was issued in our name. I transferred it to Jefferson County. They've got possession of it now. I asked you guys about that way back. Just because I didn't have it in my budget to maintain it. It needed new tires, new roof, everything. So I'm just asking for, I guess, you
Is that to sign it to Jefferson County?
to sign so I can take it to them and they can get it titled under their name and insured, and they're gonna return the
And what are
plate.
they gonna do with it?
They're gonna, same thing, it has to stay within District 9.
Is this just some policy that has to be done every so often, or I mean?
No, no, when this coalition dissolved,
Yeah,
they had golf carts, a mobile morgue, and each county took something. And we took the mobile command.
In the mobile morgue, at
That's
the
what
hospital.
You sure?
Yeah, I just saw it the other day.
Did they borrow it? Because last I heard it was over in like Switzerland County.
Not that I know of, it's in the back room of the hospital.
No, this is a trailer.
Oh, no, these are a portable morgue. I mean, you're talking about a trailer.
Yeah, this is
no,
a trailer
these-
that would probably
these
hold 10 or 20 bodies.
These are kind of fold out type of things.
No, I think the one that Switzerland County took is like a trailer. It's housed at a firehouse,
Yeah.
which we can have access to that at any time, but.
So I guess
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask permission to sign this title so that he can switch it over, or I guess it'll go to Jefferson County EMA, so.
so we're paying insurance on and whatnot now, so we
Yeah.
can think we get that off, yeah.
Once you guys sign that, and I get it over to Troy, he'll have his commissioners, and then they'll get it licensed and all that stuff.
And what I say, don't you? I'm
Good.
for it. I'm for it.
I'm
Does
for
that
it.
mean you made a motion? I don't wanna speak for you.
Yes. I'll make a motion to let Jeff transfer that over to Jefferson County.
I'll second that one.
John makes a motion to transfer the trailer from EMA, from Scott County EMA to Jefferson County EMA, so.
Well,
Pardon me?
from this board of commissioners to their.
Yeah, yeah,
It's titled
actually,
to
yeah.
you guys.
it'd be-
Only other thing I've got, and I talked to Tammy about it late this afternoon, is we had a federal grant to upgrade the GIS to Next Generation 911, the mapping system. Everything's been done, and Tammy said it doesn't have to be voted on because it was already approved, but I just have a certificate of compliance that the president needs to sign. That way I can get the paperwork submitted by next Friday, and we will be reimbursed $20,994.
We don't wanna do that.
I mean, if you wanna throw that money away. The county's already paid the bill for it, but we'll be reimbursed 20,000, almost 21,000. And this is the second to last deadline, is next Friday.
So I'll entertain a motion to sign this paper, certification of compliance, so, looks like we're gonna get reimbursed some money, so.
I'll make a motion.
Randy makes a motion to allow me to sign this, John?
Second.
John seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous.
Is the next deadline, the last deadline would be sometime in April.
Before you leave, I'd like to get copies of both those things, so I put them in my minutes, it helps me.
I sent,
Did you send Lisa that?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect, then I'll just get a copy of that real quick if you don't mind.
What else you got?
the only other thing I got is update. We've got the new electronic locks on corrections and 911's door. I did make sure, I told Andrew to make sure all your ID badges were programmed, because it's your building, so.
Is that in the back door too?
No, the back door's still a key lock, just the two front doors have a badge reader.
So we can just give it to Schwab, huh?
And you just hold up your badge.
Okay.
Each of the police departments been, there's a PIN number that I gave them, that way I can track, you know, how many times Scottsburg or Austin or the counties in and out of the building. So it's your ID cards will let you in dispatch on the corrections side. Not this Friday, the 14th, next Friday. I set up another field trip to go to Brown County.
Good.
I had the mayors on board. Scott called me yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. And said the mayors had backed out.
That's fine. It don't matter.
And I don't know if it's good or bad. He said that, from what he told me was that Mayor Amick said that after the meeting that I had with the mayors and the chiefs, that they didn't need to see anything.
They didn't what?
They didn't need to see it any further, that they were satisfied. I don't know if that's good or bad.
I had more, there's just police chiefs and fire departments looking at it really.
Yeah. He said Chief Hurt was not gonna go. I told him I wasn't gonna cancel it. Wayne, if you wanna go next Friday to see the low band radio system, you're more than welcome to. I know Chief Ritchie and Joe Smith's going. Andrew's gonna go because he was interested. He's county IT, but I invited Nick, and Scott Zeller said he was still gonna go.
Well, if you've never seen, I mean, nobody's ever seen it, so it's well worth the hour trip, you know, to go up there and see it, and
Doesn't cost anything. Just
and it actually, to me, it sells itself. I mean, I've never seen anything like it, so.
But it's gonna be the same deal. We're gonna meet up there, Brown County Sheriff's Department, 10 o'clock. I mean, if any of you three wanted to go back up there for whatever reason, you're more than
What time
welcome.
you leaving?
Get your short bus. Yeah, ladies and insurance.
So it won't be licensed.
Okay.
We won't have a license.
Take as many people as you can.
Yeah,
What
but,
time?
10 o'clock, the 14th,
You gotta be there at 10.
be there at 10 o'clock at the Brown County Sheriff's Department. And, they'll do just like they did last time. They'll take us from there up to the cell, or the 800 site, show us how it all works, and
Tell you how all the people's upset to cut all the trees down.
Oh my God.
yeah.
So
And I
you-
did invite the Sheriff's Department. I think Joe Canary, he told me that he was personally gonna go.
Have you sent that, invitation to all the fire departments?
I told Jim Ritchie, he's the president of the Fire Chiefs Association.
Okay, so you trickle down.
Yeah, hopefully. But I know a lot of the fire chiefs, I know Wayne works a full-time job, so. And some of them, I know like Mike Higgins, it'd be hard for him to get away because he's one of the only guys around to respond during the daytime,
Yeah.
so. But I personally invited Jim and Joe Smith, because I think they're the president, vice president of the fire
They are.
chiefs. So,
All right, sounds good.
Thank you.
Appreciate
any
it.
questions for me?
I just wondered if you had any shelters open.
Not yet. Don't think I will.
Thanks.
That's for, Marty needs a shelter.
Sarcasm goes a long way, don't it? Purdue Extension contractual service agreements for 2022.
This is basically one of those unfunded mandates where we have to contract with Purdue Extension for their services. This is I knew you'd ask me, so I'm already prepared. This is $2,330 higher than it was last year. However, council was aware of that fact at budget time and has already appropriated, so there'll be no additionals needed because they're already having this new contract amount in their budget appropriation. So you're good there. It's
This is
covered.
technically a mandated thing we
Yes.
have to do, so. I'll entertain a motion to extend the contract with Purdue University and Scott County government.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Randy makes that motion, John seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous, so.
And you have the version, the new one there, Mike, so I'll let you pass that down to me when you get done signing it. If you want a copy, I'll give you a blank I've got down here.
I don't need it up there. Let's see, get that to her. All right,
Just one signature.
that's what it looked like, yeah.
Did you, I'm sorry, Mike.
Oh, go ahead.
Both places, good. Good.
Payroll ratification for December 17th and also December the 31st. Everybody had an opportunity to look at the payroll.
I make a motion pass.
John makes a motion to pass that.
I second.
Randy seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous. Actually, I think 2 places to sign, maybe.
Oh, these are for the fire departments, aren't they?
Next thing up is consideration of the minutes from November the 29th, regular business meeting, a regular meeting it says. So everybody had an opportunity to look at the, you signed it, huh? Everybody had an opportunity to look at the minutes.
Yes.
Entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion pass.
John makes a motion to accept the minutes for the November 29th meeting.
I'll second.
Randy seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous.
And Zach just texted me, that's who I was texting back. He just got done.
Oh, he's fine.
And he's in Louisville, so he's not gonna make this,
That's
so I told him we're about done.
Just deduct his pay, won't we?
Minus 1/12.
December 2021 monthly claim pay consideration. Looks like we have some additionals, is that correct?
That is your December claims that we paid, we have slated to pay for January the 7th. And that's that big burgundy binder right there.
Oh.
And you were sent those by email from
Yeah.
Mandy before break for New Year's.
I'll entertain a motion
I'll make a motion.
to accept the claims.
Accept the claim.
I second that.
Randy seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous. The next thing on here is the TIF, disbursements. Looks like,
Fire department.
is that the fire departments?
That is for Vienna Fire Department. I've got money up here for Mr. Williams. Tell me I'm your favorite sitting up here right now. Alright. So I've got your radio money if they approve it, so they better be your favorite.
Paid on behalf of the Vienna Volunteer Fire Department for 2 Kenway radios with battery upgrade antenna in charge of $23.50. So,
And that was part of the TIF Volunteer Fire Department incentive monies. So that was a $10,000 allotment. And some of the money's covered the parking lot, a partial payment on the parking lot. And then this is almost expending what you've got left. There's just a little bit. Yeah.
They did come and repair it, didn't they? Yeah.
I'll entertain a motion to accept this.
I'm gonna make that motion.
John makes that motion.
Quite simply because I wanna, proud of the fact we're helping fire departments out.
Yep,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, second.
Randy, John makes a motion to, Randy seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous to,
Could we get one of them great big grants for me?
Huge. I've got a little bitty one. Would you like to give it to?
I'll take it. Here, I'll take it.
Oh, man.
You're wanting to be the favorite, I know.
The next one here is, professional design services, new addition to the firehouse at Lexington Fire Department in the amount of $10,000. And I know they've been working on this for quite a while of building another addition to their fire department. And actually, I've seen the plans a couple of different times, so. I entertain a motion to give the Lexington Volunteer Fire Department $10,000.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second that motion.
All right, I'll make that unanimous, so.
We still gotta get, Johnson's gotta get theirs in there, we got theirs in yet. So we said we even have to redo that one, didn't we?
We're gonna have to reappropriate if the redevelopment commission decides to, which I think they will.
I think that was the second one, wasn't it?
That was, yeah, like 10,000 and 22.
All right, that was 10,000. All right, the 2022 board appointments, and I'm gonna ask that we table this till our next meeting, because I think we never have this in ready or whatever, but I'm gonna ask if we can table it till, what is our meeting, the 27th?
We said that, but there's another meeting, that's on a Thursday, and we meet that next Wednesday, so we meet within 6 days after that, so, and that is also legislative conference week. And I know you're planning on attending, I'm planning on going up there, and we have classes on Wednesday, and some people stay all night Wednesday and then come back Thursday, because they have stuff going on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, which is the 27th.
You wanna just
I
push
think
it?
this means
So
we
can we
skip a
just-
meeting, doesn't it?
If that's okay with you, we'll just put everything on that first meeting in February, so you won't meet in the middle,
I'm fine with that, I mean,
Okay.
okay? So
I'm
we'll just.
I'm not guaranteed to be back, I mean,
What we're
I'm
gonna
not-
do is,
no, I'm talking about,
remember the judges.
I'm leaving town, and I don't know if I'm gonna get back or not now.
I was gonna say, remember the judges in Clark County.
No,
And if there's something you can.
Stay away
always-
from McDonald's.
As long as
Yeah.
I got
No, it's White
48
Castle.
hours of
Oh,
business,
yeah,
you
I'm sorry.
hours, you can always set an emergency or special meeting, as long as I got 2 days to post.
Yeah, I think we're fine.
How's that? So we'll skip everything till February, I think it's the 2nd.
Actually, I think.
I wouldn't mind having a break anyway.
It's February the 2nd, you're right.
Groundhog Day.
All right, sounds good to me.
Spend it with my 3 favorite groundhogs.
Of course, the attorney's not here, so we don't have any comments from him.
Except he does want his contract renewed.
Oh, actually, I see that.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at it. I'll entertain a motion, or if anybody's got any questions about extending the contract for our attorney.
I would like to make that motion, because I voted no last time, I'd like to vote yes this time.
Well, as we said in the last meeting, at the end of the year, I think Zach has done an excellent job for the county. He is, I think anybody that's came in contact with him has always had a good response, and you know, you always wonder about those type of positions, if it's gonna work out or it's not, and I know we put you know, me personally, have put him in a lot of positions that he's, you know, I wonder if he's gonna quit us. And,
Scared me a couple
I'm
times.
sure he's thought about it.
but he says, he just laughs about it. He goes, nope, I'm appreciative of your guys', you know, input he goes, I'm here as long as you want me to, so. But, John makes a motion, and Randy?
I'll second that.
Randy seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous, I think. And just to say something, I know he spends a lot of time, and I'd have to look at his payout, but I don't think he's billed us outside of the hours that he's told us he was ever gonna bill us, so.
Just mention,
Yeah.
just mention.
So that is a benefit to the county as well, that, you know, he's staying within his guidelines, even though I don't know how he does it, cause, you know, every department in the county is reaching out to him, the health department, the sheriff's department, us, council, you, you know, other people, and for him to stay in billing hours, I don't know how he does it, so.
And then he wanted me to tell you guys that this contract is exactly the same. The only thing that's changed is the total for the year, because he was obviously, what, 5 or 6 months the
Yeah.
last contract, and it's a full 12 this time.
Yeah.
So, but his rate's the same, his estimated hours a month is the same. So everything is exactly the same, it's just the calculations because of term.
Yeah. So, do we need to sign that, or?
Somebody, yes you do. So, do you have a copy
Do I have
of
a
it?
copy?
If you don't, I've got one right there.
I got it.
I don't know that oh, there it is.
Here you go, Mike.
I think we all have signed it, so, you want 2 of them signed, Tammy?
Please, if you don't mind, that would be awesome.
Give me the other one. Oh, what do you want? Oops, sorry.
I just want to make a suggestion.
Sure.
It may already happened, but, does Zach have a county email address? Because Andrew said he didn't, he just gave me.
No, it's his law
If
office.
it's his law office, yeah, yeah.
I mean, I think it would be beneficial to have a county email office.
It might, we can ask him to see if he would, yeah.
Like I emailed him that.
Mm-hmm, and if he, yes. We could,
And it'd be up to him and
All right.
you guys, but
I do have a couple other things here, I think. I wanna go through my notes here real quick. That's not it. I guess our guy at the transfer station is, you know, is ready to go once he's not sick or something.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, slick, yeah.
Crap, I can't find that. Go ahead, Randy.
There's something I'm gonna bring up, and it's just to be transparent about something that happened. I'm not sure what night that was, January. Anyway, one of our deputies, well, reserve deputies.
That was Monday night, Tuesday morning.
Okay. One of our reserve deputies got into a high-speed chase out of our county and got into an accident. We was notified, how we was notified was by reading the state police website. Other than that, we wouldn't have been told. So one of the things that I'm gonna be, I guess, pushing with Zach is, you know, I think we need to have something in place to make sure we're told about this. And I realize that he is an elected official and he doesn't answer to us, but the cars do belong to us, and the insurance we have to answer for. So I just feel like there's something has to be done. I mean, you know, to keep going on like this with no recourse, I don't understand it. You know, and I'm speaking from a citizen, not as a commissioner, you know, standpoint. But So that's something that's going on right now that's, you know, will be, I guess, obviously, moving off to February. But, that's gonna be on my agenda in February.
Well, that was one of my bullet points I had here to talk about as well. Is, I received notice from just a taxpayer that knew about it because they read it from the Indiana State Police, dispatch or report or whatever they put out. I went and looked at it as well, and I'm not saying we should never go and help other people, but I don't know if it should have happened like it did, and I'm not gonna play Monday morning quarterback about anything, but I do think, and I said it in the last meeting we had, about county policy to any county department that drives a vehicle or is around county property. It doesn't even need to be a vehicle. If some county property is damaged, then I think we need to know about it, and we need to know about it in a timely manner and not read it on somebody else's website, and the county commissioners don't even know anything about it. So I think if nothing else, we have a letter sent to every department head and notify them that they're to, I'm asking for a simple, whether it's a simple phone call, a simple text, or something within, a certain hour that says, hey, we had an accident, I don't need to know who's involved, I just need to know, or we, not saying we need to know, was there somebody else hurt? Did we hurt somebody else? I mean, we need to know that liability so that, I don't want to have a TV reporter call us and say, hey, what, you gonna comment about this? And me look like, dumber I am and say, I don't know anything about it, So I think that's disrespectful to the Board of Commissioners, and I think everybody needs to understand that the cars are in the commissioners' names, the insurance is paid by the commissioners, and we're giving them the ability to drive our vehicles, so I agree with you, so that's one thing I have.
I mean, and one little step further here, that just kind of really upsets me. And it puts the county in an awkward position when you have and I understand it's his office, but we took a reserve officer who is not a merited deputy, has not been through any school, in a high-speed chase outside of our county on roads that he does not know, as far as we know. I'm sure he doesn't know them well. And to me, there ought to be something that could be.
Yeah, and I don't know what's in the sheriff's policy manual. I don't know if he's got policy for this. I would assume he does. I don't know if we were called out to help on this one. I don't know. There's a lot of things we don't know about. I agree, especially new reserves probably ought to have some second looked at. But I don't know what his policy is. And I think we need to look, I think the policy, I'm sure, is public record. Or I'm not sure about that. Our attorney could say,
SOP,
yeah, and see how, give him the chance to take care of that issue. If this reserve isn't doing things properly, it's in his realm to take care of it, and we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
But yes, it would be nice to know about it. I found about it from another deputy, and I can't speak for anybody else, but it used to be, I don't even know if it was a policy. It was a common thing. The first thing you do is let the insurance know. You do the drug testing, and then I never called every sheriff or every commissioner.
No,
but we called the auditor and let them know.
I'm just asking for somebody to know, so, I mean, if Tammy knew, she'd contact one of us, but if he just text one person and say, hey, or anybody, I'm talking about any county person that's driving a vehicle. But, that's one thing I had. The other thing I want to let you know is that they're painting the coroner's office on Monday. They're laying the floor on Wednesday, and I was called as I was walking in the building a while ago and wanted to know where the cooler was, so, and the tables and stuff, so they're gonna put the cooler together, and they're hoping to have that by Friday. So we're on the downside of having that done.
Good deal.
Let me go backwards a
Go
little
ahead.
bit. And I'm not disagreeing with what you guys are saying about cars, but if there's a wreck, we should know. And you're right, it's not just one place, because
Oh, it's everybody.
here at the meeting tonight, I found about some wrecks that I wasn't aware of. So I do think we need to be careful about focusing on one department.
Oh, no,
Because
this is a blanket
this is,
thing.
I think it's kind of common. Yeah, that's all I want to point out. It's
It
not
will-
one place.
I
No,
agree with it, no, this is a blanket.
And we need to
thing.
see what their policies are. I don't even know.
Well, our policy should be, you just, because what
Yeah.
people don't understand is if one of these other departments messes up and gets sued,
Mhm.
this board of commissioners gets sued.
And the
we're the
council
one, and we're the ones
everybody
paying
else.
for it.
Yeah.
I mean-
So, but I'm just saying that I don't care, I'm not picking out one department in this situation. I'm
Yeah.
saying that everybody needs to know that if a county vehicle is involved, or even a county employee's hurt, I
Mhm.
mean, they need to have the courtesy to tell us, hey,
Mhm.
here's what's happened, and, I just wanna keep you in the loop. I
And we
mean,
probably won't know within the first day, but I would like to know within a short period of time.
I'd like to know before the news knows.
I think the policy, in my opinion, needs to include notification if there's an injury to anybody. It could be employee or public, if they trip and fall on a
Oh, yeah.
sidewalk out here and the ambulance and comes and picks them up. I think you guys, building maintenance, or somebody needs to, if they can't get a hold of you, then as a backup, that department head, whomever that may be, probably should dial the auditor's office, and I can just
Yeah.
keep
As
trying, or
possible,
send a
yeah.
text or something for the contacts. Accidents on county property of any kind whatsoever, or if any county property has been damaged, and that could include wrecks, somebody hitting our building that's not even one of us, that
Mhm.
runs into something, there's all the time, you hear about that on the news, somebody drives into the corner of a building or something. Or if somebody has any kind of issue with damage to property, so I think something could be written as a policy, and there may be things already there, it's just not been brought to light very
Yeah.
recently. People kind of tend to forget, you get busy with your day-to-day, and next thing you know,
I just think that's a
Yeah.
It
simple
does happen.
courtesy, but,
It does happen.
yeah,
That a phone call to you would be a
but
good
the
one.
but as
well,
a backup,
but if,
yeah.
if we don't have that as a policy, then we need to draw one up as ASAP. The other thing I was curious about here, because Richie presented tonight, is when is our insurance contract up? Is it?
Actually, what we had right now was a renewal, so it just rolled forward. There was no signatures required at the end of the year. If you decide that you would like to have him pursue other areas, or you guys wanna pursue quoting from other agencies, you need to get a jump on that midsummer.
That's where I was going,
Because
because,
there's loss runs, there's
Yeah.
stuff that has to be released. It is a tedious,
Well, I know-
several month long process.
I know we went through it before, and we had three companies
And
present.
it went a course of 4 or 5 months.
Oh, I know, and that's where I'm getting at, is that, I don't have a problem staying, where we're at. I mean, don't get me wrong there, I'm just saying that, insurance changes like the wind, and, and I would like to see if, just like anything else, do we need to, I'm not saying do it every year, but I mean, do we need to look at that more often as, hey, you need to give us your best?
And where he's talked to me before about his particular situation, he's a broker.
Yeah,
So he's just not the end
Yeah.
agent. So that's why he took it upon himself as us as his client to look at Liberty and Travelers. And so he can tap into all the policies that are offered
You're right.
and shop for us.
And that's-
So that's kind of, when you tie into somebody that's a broker, that's one of the luxuries, I'll call it, of having a broker.
That's what I was gonna say too,
Because
'cause
he looks for the best deal.
Bringing somebody else in, I don't know, would make a whole lot of difference, because if it's a broker, they should be looking at all these policies.
Yeah, that's exactly, and that's what happened last time, because if you'll remember, we said this one can pick Travelers and United Healthcare and the other, somebody else, and they
They don't
couldn't,
have
they
access
couldn't
to-
go to each, they were using different companies
Yeah.
in their bid package and not, they weren't all stuck to, hey, I got Travelers too, and I'm gonna do Travelers, and so, I'm just saying that, you know, insurance is one of those animals that changes pretty fast, and it's always evolving, so, it might be something that, I'm not saying that we do it every year, but every couple of years, we might be where we go through that process of saying, hey, we need to get other quotes and see what everybody else is doing too. But I also know the benefit of staying with the same company,
And at
and
least
you
3 years.
sometimes, you know, do the same thing, especially with healthcare. You stick with the same company with healthcare, you're gonna get a little bit of points just for
Being there.
staying there,
I
so.
wouldn't mind
And I
hearing
wanna
from him more
thank,
often.
and I didn't say it to Richie, but Nancy, oh my goodness. These insurance renewals hit at basically the worst time of year for me, because I'm in a $21 million reconciliation fund period. Yes, that is for him. And me and her are scrambling to get these applications
Hey, hey,
renewed.
hey,
Back.
back in here.
He's going to jail.
Oh, okay, all right,
And,
all right, all right.
so there's just.
He's going, John.
Me and her have had
Number one,
multiple,
number two.
multiple conversations, and she is stuck right there with me, so where we can get this stuff to where everybody's satisfied from these insurance companies. And another thing about your paramedic institute, I know it's suspended, but they explained to me that it's better to keep the coverage consistent on that,
Okay.
because there's a tail, they call it, that he has to wrap back around and pick up coverage if you start that school again. So
Yeah,
we were better off just hanging in there as if we had it going and we kept the coverage. So you learn something every time you deal with this, but boy, I'm glad I still got my hair left on my head, because that's not fun.
That's why we hire people know more than we do about this stuff.
John, do you have anything?
Nah, I don't think so.
Yes, I do.
I just want to add, I don't know if it covers vehicles, but if it deals with federal, state, or county property, I'm supposed to be notified.
As,
Like if Tammy said somebody drives into the courthouse, I'm supposed to be notified, or a federal building down here, or any state.
but that's his emergency management, right, not his,
Emergency management.
yeah.
And my dispatchers normally do tell me if there's a county officer or Scottsburg officer involved in an accident. They didn't this last time. I
Did
don't
they know it?
Hmm?
Did they know it?
They had to hear the
They
traffic.
should have, yeah.
They should. But I
Depends
don't
on
know
what
if
you
that
called out
goes
on the
down
radio that you're
to,
following.
I don't know if that includes vehicles, but I'm supposed to be notified if there's an incident involving federal, state, or county property.
Okay.
Buildings or whatever.
You got anything else?
But you don't know if it's real or personal. You don't know if it's.
A lot, I'd like to
I don't know
see.
if it deals with buildings or if that includes vehicles or.
Well, we'll hold on here while Wayne's coming back in. I want John to present this check.
You
thing.
can do it,
It's just,
don't
you know, it's really just a matter
As
of,
long as they get it, Tammy gives it to him. I
the
don't,
buck always stops with us, it doesn't.
Tammy does all the work on it.
What'd you say?
I said, it's just the fact that the buck always stops with us.
It's the council and commissioners, yeah.
So there's a professional courtesy that's not being fulfilled.
Well, there's an executive board, and that's why every county has one. I mean, so, a lot of people have a hard time understanding that even though, and I mean, some people are elected, some people aren't, but and we give people with I mean, Tammy's elected. I mean,
That's it.
other people are elected. I mean, but you give that elected person, I mean, they can do whatever they want in their office to a certain extent, but I mean, but the control still comes to this board. And the money still goes to the council. I mean, so, but if some of that's taken away, Wayne. So, anyway,
There you go.
Thanks.
we want to acknowledge that Wayne just took a big check from the
Can I just say something in general about all this? Because this is risk management stuff I've done my whole life. If you ever have an issue, if you want to look at it straight on, I've always been the person to not first look at people, but look at your process. So it sounds to me from listening to you guys who know that we may need process, like you talked about policy, because communication is the key to keeping everybody safe. So I think we might need to look to see if we have a policy or process.
I think there's a policy, because a couple of years ago, the same thing happened with a deputy
They had one over Madison crash on Chase, yeah.
Oh, yeah, but there was a deputy that was injured in a foot chase, and the commissioners were never told that anybody was hurt. I knew it because I knew him, and I was getting phone calls from his side of the family. So I knew about it, but the Board of Commissioners were never told about it. So even though, you know, you can say there's HIPAA laws and everything else, this executive board is the, you know, the top level of anything in this government in Scott County, and we need to know some of that stuff, even though we don't need to know, you know, all the particulars, we still need to know so that, you know, egg's not on our face when somebody sticks a camera in your face or calls you on the phone and
This isn't nothing new, 'cause like I said, there's one.
it's happened.
I know a few years back, there's one got in a chase over in Madison, just coming to work over here.
Yeah.
And crashed and hit the people, and I don't know if I'm sure the county found out.
Oh, I knew about that one too.
So, but I mean, I think it's important to know what the policies are and whether they're being implemented.
Yeah, well, I agree. I think we need to get a letter out to every department and say, hey, here's our expectations and here's what the policy is, and that we expect it to be adhered to. So I'm gonna entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
John made a motion to adjourn.
I second that
Randy
motion.
seconds, and I'll make that unanimous, so.